All right, hello. Today is Tuesday, February the 9th. Wanted to say hello and welcome to everybody out there watching tonight. And everybody out there that might be listening on shortwave. We're on WBCQ 5110 kilohertz out of Monticello, Maine. So give us a listen on 5110, and I'd like to have some signal reports. If you guys can send us some signal reports in the chat room, that would be cool. For all you guys that are tuning in on shortwave, if you want to, you can join us on our live webcast. If you go to W5 Kilo Uniform Bravo, W5KUB.com, and you'll be able to watch the video tonight. And let's see, we're going to open the phone lines up a little later for questions to come in, and we've got the chat room for questions. Hey, we're celebrating our 1 year on Amateur Radio Roundtable. You know, we've been doing Hamfest for about 13 or 14 years and special events, but we started the weekly Tuesday show up 1 year ago in February, so we've just hit 1 year. So I think that's an accomplishment for us, and of course we want to just keep going and try to we're going to go for that 2 year mark, and then so we want to keep doing it. I'd like to invite everybody to join us on Facebook. At the top of our website there's a link to join our Facebook group. That link will get you into our webcast Facebook group. You'll see who our guests are going to be. You'll see pictures of the program. You'll see any special event that we're going to be doing. And it's just a good ham radio site for you to post pictures if you'd like to post pictures and talk ham radio in here. We also have a link up there to join our email distribution. We send out thousands of emails right prior to the show every week announcing who our guest is going to be or any special event that we might do. So please sign up for our email distribution. If you don't like it, you can click on unsubscribe at the bottom there. So tonight we've got a really interesting show. And it's going to be about Heard Island. We have with us Dr. Robert Schmeider, KK6EK from Walnut Creek, California. And he is the founder and expedition leader of Cordell Expeditions. It's a nonprofit research group that I believe he started around 1977. And the group is responsible for the creation of the Cordell Bank National Marine Sanctuary and for numerous research expeditions to very remote oceanic sites. I'm going to call him Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob is a research physicist by profession. He's got about 100 publications, and he even has 4 patents. He was licensed in 1962 and holds an extra class license. His call is KK6EK. And one of his specialties is that he works on very difficult DXpeditions. He also develops new technology for DXpeditions. He's a founder or inventor for some of the online log server and a program I think called DXA, real-time log, that was used I think for K7C. He can tell us more about that. He's been on many DXpeditions, and you know, as an amateur radio operator and a physicist, he's combined both ham radio fun and his work. He's an author of many books. He's a scientist, and maybe we'll even get into that. You know, let me see if I can bring Dr. Bob in here, and let's see how things are tonight where he is. Hello, Bob. Are you there?
Yeah. Hi, Tom.
Yeah. Okay. We got you. We got a good signal coming in from California tonight.
Yeah, you're 5 and 9 in Walnut.
All right. The internet's amazing, isn't it?
5 and 9 plus 10.
Hey, before we get started, I just read something today. It was in some publication, and I read where the Australian territory of Heard Island is one of the wildest places on Earth. It's a smoking volcano under snow and glacial ice, and it rises above the world's stormiest waters. Man, why do you guys want to go down there?
Well, you got all those basic facts right, and together they do paint a picture of a place that is, in some sense, forbidding. But of course, if you're interested in exploring places that are underexplored, it's really very attractive, and that's part of the reason for going there. is to explore and describe it. I can be more specific about it. Of course, for ham radio operators, for DXers, it's so far away and so rare and so difficult to get to and activate that it is right in the very top of the most wanted list. So when it comes on the air, it's extremely important event. The last time, of course, Heard Island was activated was 1997. That was also my expedition, VK0IR. And so it's almost 20 years later. But besides the radio interest, Heard Island is it's a World Heritage Site because of a combination of qualifying factors. It has a 9,000-foot active volcano, and I'll be darned, the volcano erupted on February 1st this year. And when I get to showing you my screen, I'll show you a picture of it smoking on the top. So it erupts maybe every year, 2 years, 3 years or so. And so it's very active. It's not so very old. It's about 1 million years old, but it has a lot of glaciers, of course, that are created on the summit of the volcano and then slide down. Has the largest colony of king penguins in the world, has a lot of elephant seals, and it is changing. The really important aspect of it right now for me personally is the fact that it's changing so rapidly. In just 1 year, you can see significant changes in the environment, and that's because of global climate change, global warming, causing the glaciers to disappear. So lots of reasons to go to Heard Island if you've got the wherewithal to do it.
So one of the things, I mean, you're a scientist, and you're making this trip not only for ham radio, but you're looking for new species and things, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's a species list published. It dates from about the year 2000, 2001. It was an Australian scientific expedition. There's a couple hundred species on that list, but if you do, as I did, a statistical analysis of the species list, you kind of discover that there may very well be 200 more species that are living there, but that are unknown. So it's an underdocumented island. It's a big place. It's 20 miles from tip to tip, and it may very well harbor a lot of species. Almost all of them are going to be small. There's not going to be any crocodiles and velociraptors walking about, but microscopic, or what we call macroscopic, which are still very small organisms, but they will be new species. We will almost certainly discover some new species, and that contributes to our understanding of the biodiversity, and that's related to climate change, and a lot of people think that that's important, including me.
All right. Well, I know you've got a presentation for us tonight, and man, let's just jump right into it. This is going to be an exciting night, and I'm sure there are going to be people out there with questions. Last time we had you on, we talked about everything, if you remember. We even talked about climate change. Yeah. Anyway, we may not be able to get into climate change tonight, but let's jump into this presentation, and let's talk about the things that have changed.
Yeah. Now this is a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm gonna switch over to my screen. And there is the image. If you can see my screen now, there's the image of Big Ben.
We're not getting it yet. Yeah, I don't think it's switched. There we go. There we go.
Button. That's working, is it?
Oh yeah, it's working. Uh-huh.
What you're seeing is a photograph from just a week ago of Big Ben, the volcano on Heard Island, and it suddenly started to erupt. And I'll be darned, there was a research vessel from Australia very, very near, and so they spent some time taking photographs. So we're very excited about what changes we might be able to perceive when we actually get there that are only 2 months old or so. Okay, so now I've got to bring up my my PowerPoint presentation, but I may have to stop sharing this screen to get this presentation up here.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I'll be right back.
Okay, not a problem.
And now I'm going to show it to you. There, now. Okay.
Well, we don't have it yet.
Don't have it. Okay, let me press the start button.
Now it's coming. You got it.
Okay.
All right. Wow.
The image that I'm seeing from you shows the Earth is not circular. I don't know if you're seeing an elliptical shape Earth here. On my screen, it's circular. On the image that I'm getting from you,
Yeah.
it's elliptical. It's squeezed down horizontally.
It looks pretty elliptical here, so I think it looks okay.
Well,
Go right ahead.
if these pictures are all squeezed together, I'm sorry about that. I don't think we can reformat it easily. You'll just have to imagine the Earth is in fact round, and so here is Heard Island in the center of this Google Earth image, and it lies only 1,000 miles from Antarctica, but it lies 2,300 nautical miles from Australia and from Cape Town, South Africa. Here's the path that we are going to take. We're going to start at Cape Town and travel directly to Heard Island. We cannot stop at any other places along the way. That's the permit. And then 3 weeks on the island, and then we'll go to Fremantle, Western Australia. Here's the vessel. It's very famous among DXers and DXpeditioners. It's the Braveheart, a New Zealand flag vessel operated by Nigel Jolly. Probably some of your listeners have been on this vessel on an expedition. It's at this moment, it's got the VP8 group, the South Sandwich, South Georgia group. And so we've talked to them by telephone now and then, and they're doing just fine. We wish them good luck and good fair winds and smooth seas and so on.
So, Bob, that's not a very large ship, I don't think. Now, you guys are going to go in some pretty rough waters. Is that going to be a rough ride?
Yeah, it's going to be a rough ride. But that's one of the reasons why Heard Island doesn't get activated very often, because the Southern Ocean or the South Indian Ocean is among the most violent oceans on Earth. From what we know, we believe that we're going to be able to do this. They did it in this month one time before, so we're just going to have a rough ride and hang on for dear life. Here's what we'll probably see when we arrive. If we're really lucky, probably it'll be just 100% fogged in and we won't see anything at all. But that's Big Ben on Heard Island. The mountain is 9,000 feet high, and of course it's always glaciated. The glaciers slide down the mountain at the dizzying rate of 0.00001 miles per hour or something like that.
Yeah, will any of you guys have time to climb up there and throw a penny down the top or something?
There's a good idea. No, we not only will not have time, we won't have the support structure. In an earlier version last year, we had a much larger team before we changed over to the Braveheart, and we had enough people to field a climbing team of 4 and enough people to support that climbing team. But our team now is 14. That's just not enough to do any climbing, any significant climbing, although we do plan to climb up on the slopes because there are certain things that we want to investigate, but we won't be able to make it to the summit. Here's an artist rendition of sort of the topography of Heard Island. You see that there's a peninsula up here at the upper left called the Lawrence Peninsula. That's the older volcano. That's 30 some odd million years old. The main big volcano, which is centered right in the center of this island, is only about 1 million years old. And so one of the really interesting things we're going to be looking for is fossils. There are some fossiliferous rocks up in this area on the Lawrence Peninsula, because dating the volcanoes is really very important to the geologists. Here is kind of a plan of where we might go. We'll come from Cape Town in from the left, upper left, and down to a place called Atlas Cove. It's a very calm and protected bay with a shallow beach where we can land the boats. We don't have a helicopter this time, but we can land the boats, and we'll set up our main camp there. And from there, we'll be able to walk to other places nearby and do the research. Of course, the radios are going to be set up in that location at the camp, and we'll stay there. But then, in addition, we're going to go way over here on the opposite side of the island to Spit Bay. and land there and set up a camp there. Actually, there are shelters already there, left there by the Australian government. And again, we'll walk around in the area a few miles away, and possibly a third place called Long Beach, which is down here on the southern part. The lava flow came right out of the volcano Mawson Peak here, and then sort of down the slope down this way. I don't know if you can see my mouse on this.
Yeah, we can see it. Looks like, well, okay. I'm from here. It looks like a southeast, but I don't know. Southwest. Southwest,
yeah. I think all your images are squeezed in horizontally.
They're looking good. Everybody's saying the image is looking fine.
Okay, so we won't see that lava. It's way up high like this. We may be able to see it. We have a couple of drones we're going to fly, so we may be able to fly the drones up high enough to get some images of that lava, which will be a lot of fun and very interesting. So here is a satellite image of the Lawrence Peninsula, and our campsite is going to be over here at Atlas Cove at the end of this arrow. I'll show you a picture of what it looked like in 1947. The Australians put a major camp there, and they were there for about 5 years doing research, documenting the geology, the meteorology, and so on. And this is from 1947. 14 men, and the book that was written about that is called 14 Men. And by a nice, cute little coincidence, we are also 14 men.
Good.
So here is what that camp looked like in 1997 when we were there. Many of the buildings were still standing. Most of them were in ruins. The one in the foreground actually had some emergency food and some tools and things like that. Most of the others had elephant seals in residence. And then here was our camp in 1997, our tents located near those original shelters. And that's what those looked like. It's fairly commonly used on Antarctic expeditions. So this big red asterisk shows where our camp will be, where it was in 1987 and where we will be again. And this is how we're going to get there. Just come on an inflatable boat, land, and carry the stuff over to the campsite. Now, what you see here to the left is sort of splotches and ruins of the original Australian research station. Most of it is now blown away. And in fact, we are not supposed to step foot in that area because apparently there was some asbestos in there. So this area is sort of the off limits, but this area is where we will put our camp, and this sort of double square is where we're going to put our shelters. Here is a rendering of them, sort of a drone view, if you like. No longer a bird's eye view, it's a drone view. And closer up, you see the structure. These are very different shelters from the ones we used in 97. And we're the first to use these. These are called air beam, and these are like half of a spare tire blown up. They're blown up to 60 psi. They are very, very strong and very rigid. Each of those arcs would hold up a small pickup truck by itself, and then they hold up the tent, and we have a sort of a walkway in between. So I'll show you one of these tents is going to be a sleeping tent, and the other will be the working tent. These yellow things are some shelters that are already there, that were put there by the Australian government. So we're going to try and camp right close to them. The blue one over there is also there, and I think we'll put our toilet in there. That'll be the water closet. So, okay, so here's the floor plan. One of our shelters will be a dormitory. We have 8 bunk beds. We have 14 guys, 16 sleeping spaces plus storage. The other will be the working and eating. I called it the gym tent, greeting, eating, and meeting tent. There's a perspective view of it, tables and chairs all around. This is not a plan, this is a concept and so on, but we can walk back and forth. The guys can sleep over here and work over here.
So, Bob, you're going to have to hand carry all this stuff in after you hit the shore. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. But the Braveheart has a crew of 5, and they really enjoy working with the teams that they take out. That's why the Braveheart is so popular. Essentially, they are 4 or 5 extra hands on the team to help move the gear around. They do have some wagons and things to help carry it, but you're right. It all has to be hand carried. Each of these tents weighs 450 pounds.
Wow.
It's pretty heavy, but it can be handled. They are erected by rolling it out on the ground, putting a couple of big stakes in the ground, turning on the air compressor, and less than 15 minutes later, the entire tent is up, complete, ready to occupy.
Now, does that air compressor have to be on all the time, or once it's filled up, you just seal it off?
You turn it on, you turn on the air compressor, it blows these up. There's a panel on the end. It's all an integral structure. You simply open the air compressor, inflate the thing, and then close the valve, and it stays that way forever.
All right.
Make a small leak. We might have to touch it up, but probably not.
Unless a piece of hot lava falls on it.
Well, that would be a very welcome event because it would generate news. And so unfortunately, I don't think we can arrange that, but it would be fun if it did. So if you took the covering away, this is sort of what it would look like. And that's all of us, right? All these handsome guys, that's us. We're exactly as handsome as those. Those are us, right?
Well, I'm looking for you. Are you in here?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This is what it looks like inside. It's got an insulating liner inside, and you go out the door down the hallway to the other tent. It has a canvas floor, but we also have plastic floors that are made sort of like accordion pleats. So it will be a hard floor. These are 20 by 21 feet, each of them, and it'll have a hard floor so we can put our tables and chairs and things like that. It'll be very nice. And we also have very big heaters supplied by the company that will keep us toasty warm inside.
Yeah, what do the heaters run? Some type of oil?
Yeah, they run on diesel fuel.
Diesel, okay.
I'll go back. The heaters run on diesel fuel. We have one for each tent, and they have a blower that's 15 inches in diameter that blows hot air into these. These shelters are made for military. They're built and sold by a company called HDT Global. They cost $20,000 a piece. And they are used for military field hospitals and operations centers and so on.
Well, they look very commercial and very strong, but the chat room is asking, are you going to take any duct tape?
That's a great question, and whoever asked that question is a member of the next expedition because they're obviously thinking ahead.
You probably need to have some in here,
We have some duct tape.
Very good.
So, okay. Here, in some sense, the project is divided into two parts. There's the ham radio operation, the DXing operation, and then there's the science part. So let me show you about the DXing part first. Call this communications operating. Our main goal is to log as many different amateur radio stations as possible. And to help implement that, we have some real-time communications, and we're pretty energetic about communicating through various social media. And the one thing I want to point out here down in the bottom is DXA, and you mentioned it in your introduction. This is the real-time online graphic radio log. And so let me just go forward a slide or two, and I'll show you what it looks like and how it works. Probably most of your viewers have seen this before. Here's Heard Island in the middle of the world, the entire world arrayed around it. As you see, North America West down here, North America Central, North America East occupies almost half of the horizon. Then there's Africa, Europe, Asia, Japan, and Australia, and New Zealand. So it's kind of a weird place, and there's an awkward part to this, and that is there's a volcano in the way between Heard Island and the west coast of the U.S., and I'll show you what effect that has. First, here's the sunspot cycle. those DXers who remember VK0IR, I'm sorry, let me go back. Remember VK0IR, you remember we were right at the bottom of the sunspot cycle. We had 0 sunspots. And yet, in spite of that, we were able to set a world record for the total number of QSOs. Here, this time, we're faring much better. We expect to have more than 100 amount of flux in these units. So it'll be much better. Here's our station. It's the same station for all. It's an Elecraft K3S. We'll be using N1MM Plus for logging, and then DXA, which I'm going to show you more for the real-time tool to help you make your QSO. All this hookup is pretty complicated. You don't have to read this diagram, just marvel at all of the graphics that we've done in trying to document it and scope it out. Here's some more. Here's each of the stations. It's pretty complicated engineering challenge. Of course, most of the major DXpeditions do pretty much this, so there's nothing unique here other than how well you've done it and how much support you have to do it. But now here is DXA and how it works. We have with us 4 Inmarsat satellite terminals, and we have unlimited airtime on those terminals. So we will be in real-time connection with the internet. So this is Heard Island here on the left, and the various stations, station 1, station 2, up to maybe 5 stations, possibly 6. Those will talk across the satellite to a server somewhere, uploading and possibly downloading data to a server, and that server can then serve it to anybody with a browser who knows the right URL to look at. And that enables us to do this. This is called DXA. And if you go to DXA3, this URL right here is out of date now. The URL is dxa3.org. You could go there right now as I'm talking and see a simulation working. It's actually updating every 60 seconds. It displays the station, the call signs of the stations that we have worked in that last minute. Not only that, but it puts your call sign in a little flag roughly on your QTH. So here's F2FZ, and that's roughly in France. And here's JA9XRL, and that's roughly over Japan. So if you are in Ohio, say, you make a contact with us within 1 minute or less, well, within 1 minute of making that contact and us logging it, you'll see a flag with your call sign come up somewhere down here, right over your QTH. These give a little information about what bands and modes we're working, how much time is left, how many contacts we've made so far. And you can log in here with your call sign, or in fact, anybody else's call sign if you want. And for those calls, those band mode QSOs that we have a confirmed contact, it'll light up a green light for you. We call that a greenie. So right here, this is a simulation, but W1AW had all of these confirmed calls. If you get your greenie within 1 minute after you make your contact, you are safely in the log. You do not need to make a duplicate or an insurance contact. You should not, because if you do, you're preventing somebody else from making one. But you don't have to worry about being safely in the log. You are in the log. That's this display here is the log. It's like Club Log. It's an online real-time log server. But we upload our data not once a day, which virtually every other DXpedition has to do. We upload it once a minute. And why is that important? Because if you try and make a call and you think that you have made that confirmed QSO, and so you come back the next day and you see, whoops, you're not in the log. Well, it may be even more awkward than that, because the DXpedition may have gone QRT or something's wrong, and you may not, the propagation has changed. You may not have a chance to make it. So by seeing it within 1 minute, you have the option, if we break your call, if we make a mistake, if you do not see yourself come up in 1 minute, you do need to make another call until you get a confirmed contact and see it on DXA. Once you see it, go get a glass of lemonade, brag to the wife, pet the cat, and be happy and don't worry. Here's the problem with the volcano. From the campsite, we're looking smack at Western North America, but there's a volcano in the way. And this is what it does to the signals. So it makes it really difficult to contact West Coast and part of Central from Atlas Cove here. So here's what we're going to do this time. We did not do it in 1997, is set up our camp, a camp at the opposite side, Spit Bay, and from there we can see directly to the West Coast and Central North America. So between the two sites, we should have a straight shot to everyone in the world. Here's a satellite image of that area taken in 2014, just 2 years ago. And this is interesting because less than 10 years before, this entire lagoon here was a glacier. And in 10 years or less, it's melted and made this huge lagoon. It's about a mile across. And this is part of the research that we're interested in doing, is exploring and describing this lagoon, which is newly created, and the ocean slowly is bringing marine organisms in there. So the biology, the biogeography, the limnology, the oceanography are really interesting and important.
Is that some type plume or a vent right there?
Oh, yeah, good eyes. This thing right here, this sort of snake-shaped, not snake, this is almost like a slug, is a little lake. It's called a tarn. It's made by a glacier carving out this. And so this is filled with muddy water. And then there's a river that flows out of this. But the interesting thing is that it goes underground for about 100 meters. You don't see it. And then it comes out and flows into this lake. And you can see, and you did pick up right away, this is a gigantic plume of very fine sediment. That sediment, a lot of it settles to the bottom. And one of the projects that we're going to do is go out here and on a small boat. We have a grab that we can lower to the bottom and grab some of the sediment and see what's living in it. That's part of the research that we'll do. Good eyes. Here is sort of the upper part of that lagoon. But the thing I want to call your attention to is at the end of this red arrow down here. You may or may not be able to see it, but there are 5 little white dots. Now I'll zoom in on it, and there they are. Those are shelters that the Australian government put up, and they are there waiting for us, and that's what they look like. So we don't have to take tents or anything. We're going to live in luxury, except it'll probably be kind of cold. The terrain around there, as you can see, is kind of rough. It's not open and flat like it is at Atlas Cove. So it's not going to be easy to set up the kind of 4 square vertical arrays that we'll have at Atlas Cove. Instead, it looks sort of like this. That's Big Ben in the background. And we're going to take a couple of beams and use beams from this location. But this is the Spit Bay radio location.
Are you going to have some type all-terrain vehicle or anything that you can ride around on there?
That's an unknown question at the moment. I got in the habit of taking an ATV on my expedition so that we could carry and drag our gear around, not have to carry it by hand. Obviously, it would be of no value here in this place, but at Atlas Cove, where it's flat and sandy, it would be a very great asset. The question is whether we have space on the Braveheart to take it, and I won't know that until we get to there and the ship is there and arrives, and the skipper says, "Okay, we've got room," or "We don't have room." So it's an unknown question. It won't make or break the operation. It just means if we do not have that vehicle to help us, we have to work harder. But that's okay. So now let me turn to the environmental research. And the overall goal is to obtain new observations and data relating to the effects of global climate change. And the main means we're going to use to do that is we're going to collect a lot of specimens. samples of rocks and water and soil and plants and invertebrates. And of course, part of this is what we talked about before. Can we identify unknown species to extend the biodiversity? But we'll also take a lot of pictures, and a lot of these pictures, in fact, all of them, we consider photographs not pictures but data. So we'll do our best to record the GPS locations of our pictures and keep track of them so that we can compare them with historical pictures taken from the same location. That's important because the glaciers are retreating at such a rate. Some of them are retreating at 100 meters per year. That's almost enough to come back in 3 days, and it's not in the same place. It's just a phenomenal rate. And as you saw, the glacier at Spit Bay is almost all melted, and it made a big lagoon. So what's happening in the rest of the world, namely the rest of the world is getting warmer, is happening in spades on Heard Island. In fact, Heard Island and all the sub-Antarctic islands are more sensitive, significantly more sensitive to climate change than the rest of the world is. So it forms a kind of bellwether. We can see things happening on Heard Island and be warned, if not be afraid, right? So let me show you a couple of images of the scientific work. I showed you the lagoon here, and we're going to explore. We're going to be camping over here and exploring over here while some of the team are sitting there working radio. Here's a close-up of this tarn, and there's a really interesting thing. In 2007, the image showed this sort of rocky edge of this lake. And in 2014, look what had happened, some sort of a big rock fall here. And not only that, but there's a jet of water, and this is a huge jet. It may be a meter in diameter, just issuing from this rock and into this lake. And then it goes underground at this point somewhere. Probably the intake is underground. It's maybe a lava tube or a channel of some kind. But this is exemplary of the kind of changes that are happening so fast. And we found a lot of examples of these geological changes. Here's this flow into that big lagoon, and with all of the sediment. This is a false color image. I just really increased the contrast so that you could see it clearly where it's going. And as you see down here, the river is issuing right out of the living rock and flowing down, and then it spreads out into a bit of a delta because this is kind of a flat area, and pours in and fills this lagoon, and from there it just leaks out into the ocean. Okay, here is an example, or several examples, of a discovery that we made a few months ago in studying the images, the recent images, the 2014 images of Heard Island, satellite images. What I discovered was there are many, by that I mean maybe as many as 100 streams that are coming right out of the rock, similar to that partially underground stream I just showed you. But look at this. Here's a big one coming right out of a hole in the rock. Here's some more subtle ones. Here's a little bit larger one. Here's a fairly big one. Notice that this big reddish area, that's a big lava flow. So what's happened is that there was an older lava flow that probably had been eroded and formed a terrace. Then there was a significant eruption on Heard Island, and it covered that area with this lava flowing down, and the water filters through this and emerges through holes or fissures in the rock. And that's why we see these streams just appearing like springs. That's what you would call them. If you found these in the forest somewhere, you'd call them a spring.
So a question in the chat room, is there any water there drinkable?
Boy, that's another good question. It's part of our research program. So here's a stream issuing right out of the rock. One of the things we want to do is collect water from as high on this stream and as many other streams as we can, and examine the solutes, the things that are dissolved in that water, as well as the insoluble particulates, because these streams are extracting material from the lava at higher elevations. So just like when you give a blood sample and they analyze your blood, think of this the same way. We are taking a blood sample of this volcano. Now, would this be drinkable? Back to your question, probably. Probably it'd be a little gritty. It won't be salty. It'll be fresh because it's coming from a glacier. And it may actually, if it's filtering through a lot of rock, it may actually be very pure. I don't think so, because it's probably carrying a lot of sediment that's it's eroding the sediment from underneath this lava flow and other places. And of course, the glacier, on the bottom of the glacier, grinds up the rocks and turns it into a thing called glacial flour. That's essentially silt. And then that's carried away by streams. So I think this would be safe to drink, in terms of salinity, but it probably would taste rather chalky and not be very good. Okay, we have a couple of drones that we're going to fly about where we can't hike so long as the wind permits. We have a couple of microscopes, and this microscope has a camera on it. It's a digital microscope. So with our computer, we can see the image of something here, press a button, and we've captured an image. We can then upload that across the satellite link to a destination website, which we have. And we haven't quite set it up, but probably anybody who wants to can go there and look at the pictures that we're getting, as well as maybe even make suggestions. Hey, why don't you guys go look at this or that? And so we're looking forward to having not only interactive radio operation, DXing operation, but also interactive science. If you are an expert on tardigrades or foraminifera, we'd love to talk with you, because we're going to find a lot of both of those there. If you don't know what those are, I invite you to look it up on Wikipedia. They are really fun things, and they're really important, and there's a lot of them on Heard Island. Okay, so here's another project we're going to do. We're going to walk around on the beach and pick up debris. How much debris will there be? Not much. We know that because we have a program that simulates, if you drop something in the ocean somewhere in the earth, somewhere in the ocean, it follows it for 2, 3, 4 years into the future. And where is it going to go? Well, where would you have to drop something in order for it to end up at Heard Island? And this is an image of a simulation. So this little yellow rubber ducky here is right on South Georgia Island. That's where the VP8 team is right now. They are operating, maybe as we speak. They're on the air, I assume so. If you drop something that floats in the ocean on South Georgia there, about not quite a year later, it's spread out into a big diffused area, but it's centered on Heard Island. And if you drop it anywhere else in the ocean in the world, it almost doesn't get to Heard Island. So the connection between South Georgia and Heard Island apparently has not been recognized before, but this simulation enables us to say whatever is living or is thrown into the water at South Georgia gets to Heard Island. And that's interesting science. Not on Heard Island, but on the voyage, we'll be about 20 days on the ocean sailing. We're going to look for this killer whale. This is a fourth type, or a new type of killer whale. It's not yet described in the literature, and only one species is known, but it's fairly well documented. And it's identified because of this little white spot right sort of in the ear location. And it's been observed in these places, these numbers, in this annulus around Antarctica. So in the latitude interval, it's been observed almost always in the latitude interval, and Heard Island is exactly in the middle of that interval. And we're going to be about 20 days in that annular interval. So we have a good chance of seeing this animal and providing another documentation of it. So we have a project plan. We have a website. It's called heardisland.org. And there's a link there for documents. You can go there and you can download all kinds of documents, including this program. This PowerPoint presentation is posted there. You can download it, look at it, show it to your friends, and so on. And that's under the link documents. In addition, you can download the book that I wrote about VK0IR 1997 from that same website on the documents page. It's all free. You don't have to pay for it at all. It's a scan of the entire book, all the pages in full color, and you can kind of read if you wish, the adventure that we had at that time. I'm assuming that we'll have another book come out from this one, and it'll be fun to compare the adventures and experiences that we have this time with the ones that we had there. If you don't have this book, I'll be pleasured if you'll download it and enjoy it.
You know, Bob, I got a note from David Mose.
Okay.
He said he just finished reading your book, the VK0IR Hurt Island. He said it was a great book, and he said say hi to Elio if you see him. I don't know who Elio is.
David, you're on the top of my favorites list. Yeah, David, you've obviously read the book. In the book is an anecdote, and it actually is my favorite part because it was the best experience that I had. But it describes an afternoon when I walked out of camp and went over and spent several hours with the elephant seals, which were only a few hundred yards from our camp. And I stood and had a conversation with one of the elephant seals. And of course, it was an imaginary conversation, but it was a conversation. And we explored our lives. So the one thing that Elio taught me when I said, well, how is it living here at the edge of the world? And he said, this is not the edge of the world. This is the center of the world. And his logic was so good. Thank you, David, for reading that section. And if anybody else is interested, you'll know that section. And the last line in that chapter, I won't say it to you. I'll encourage you to read that last line because for me, it was a killer. So go get the book and read that last line. This is another book. This describes DXA that I told you about, the real-time online radio log server. And so this describes that and also the two expeditions that we used it on before, K7C and TX5K. K7C was 1995 Curry Atoll. TX5K was Clipperton in 2013. So this is the book. You can get this from me. We like you to, well, let me say, I give this away free if you make a donation of $20 or $25 or something. But the book is free if you make a donation. The cover here was made by Rich KY6R. It's a brilliant representation of the DXCC program. We put out a newsletter. I'm just getting ready the next newsletter. It may be the last one before I have to actually get up and go on the expedition. On the website, you can click on the link that says newsletter and you can sign up for it. It's delivered electronically, no paper, and it's free, of course. And you can also get all of the back issues that we've put out. Here's the team. There are 14 of us. We all have radio licenses, but some are more interested in the science research than the radio. But some of these people, Carlos and Dave, I've done multiple DXpeditions before. Some of these people, like Adam and Alan, have been on Antarctic expeditions and overwintering. Arliss is our doctor, an emergency room doctor. Kenneth Carr here. Kenneth was a former nuclear submarine commander, so he knows what projects are about and organization. Vadim is from Ukraine. Hans Peter is from Switzerland. Gavin and Alan are from Australia. All the rest are US. You can tell from the call signs. And this is part of the last newsletter I'll send out. This is an earlier draft of kind of a poster of all the people and organizations that were necessary in order to put this expedition in place. And you can see there's the U.S. team, the European team, the Australian team. We're all going to converge on Cape Town around the first week of March. We're going to sail off toward Heard Island, which is this way, after 3 weeks on the island, and then sail off to Fremantle, Australia, where we'll get off and come home. And this is the last thing. Here's the website, heardisland.org, and you're welcome to email me. I'm getting kind of busy these days, so I'd be pleased. We're going to have a customer service link where if you, while we're on the expedition and kind of not so able to respond to personal emails, you can submit a request. It's sort of like a corporation. You know, if you want to email Sears Roebuck, you can get into their help desk. We're going to have one like that, and you can submit any question or problem or complaint or compliment that you wish, and we have a team that will handle all of those inputs for you. And that's the end of that. So, Tom, I told you that I had some other pictures to show about Heard Island, but
sure,
there may be questions, or you may have points to make or questions to make. So I'll pause right here and we'll decide whether to look at some other pictures or not.
Okay, let me see if I can bring your camera back in. I think I can.
What if I stop sharing my screen?
That helps. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Well, hey, that was really interesting. There were a lot of questions that came in, and maybe we'll just take a break here and talk about some of the questions that came in through the chat room, and then maybe in a few minutes we can look at some of the other pictures, or the other pictures may also help explain some of the things. But now you're leaving March the 1st for a 45-day DXpedition here, and you're going to be live 21 days there, right?
Yeah, I'm personally leaving March 1st, and but the boat sails from Cape Town on March 10th. Excuse me, let me get rid of this call here.
Not a problem.
March 10th, and then 10 days to get to Heard Island, and then 3 weeks on Heard Island, 10 more days to Fremantle, Australia.
Well, and what we haven't worked out the details yet, but you and I and Rich have talked about this. We're going to try to connect with you guys on the webcast, on our Tuesday night webcast, while you're live down there, and try to bring in a live update from you guys. And man, I really want to see you guys standing next to those penguins and you know, all that stuff, because I don't think anybody's done this before. And this would be really cool to bring this DXpedition in to a webcast like this.
Yeah, I think that's going to be possible. We've planned it. We have the satellite capability to do that. I don't think we'll be standing next to some penguins because the Australian government doesn't want us anywhere near the penguins. This is different from it was in 1997. Probably what we'll do is we'll set up the camera inside of our gem tent, where where people are actually working and doing something, and they can sort of show you around there, sort of in the same sense as connection to the International Space Station.
Cool.
Well, we are. The only difference will be that we're not weightless.
You'll have gravity, yeah. And I can understand the government down there wanting to protect all these species and different things. So, but there's got to be exceptions. Now, like if a penguin stumbled in there, and he was injured, I mean, wouldn't they let you guys do like first aid on him?
I think the answer is no.
Really?
I think the permit is going to say that we cannot interact in any significant way with any of the birds. There are burrowing birds, there are penguins, and there are seabirds that fly. And then there are the seals, the elephant seals and leopard seals. I think we're going to be restricted from interacting in any significant way with any of the megafauna. So we might be able to say, okay, over my shoulder behind me are about 50,000 king penguins.
All right.
May or may not be able to see them, but that's probably as well as we can do.
Well, that's good. I know that you guys have to clean up down here. You can't leave anything. One of the questions in the chat room was, do you have to remove everything? When you can't leave junk laying around, can you?
We can't. I'm sorry. Let me. Yeah. One of my team members is trying to reach me. Sorry about that.
He should be watching tonight.
We have more than a requirement to clean up. We have a tradition. My organization, Cordell Expeditions, has had a kind of a motto, and you'll forgive me for the French, but it says, shit no go, we no go, which means we not only pack up our stuff, but we carry away everything. And the very last thing that happens is I walk the site, make sure there's not a rubber band, a safety pin, a little piece of paper, a cable tie, or anything at all. Absolutely nothing, including all of the human waste, comes off of the island, so that there is absolutely nothing that we leave. That's our tradition, and it's the requirement of the Australian government for the sanctuary.
So this sounds a little gross, but you're going to bring back 21 days of human waste?
Not all at once.
Okay. All right.
But they have alternative protocols.
Mm-hmm.
One is we could incinerate it on the island, but I opted to not bring an incinerating toilet. I was squeamish about it being reliable. I didn't want it, and it's heavy and it's expensive. So it'll be in bags and buckets. We can bring it back to the shoreline. It can be disposed of below the low tide mark, or it can be taken out on the vessel and dropped in deep water. And that's okay. And that's probably what we'll do.
All right. So here's a picture that I have, a satellite picture. Man, mm-hmm. Looks like it's going to be cold there. I think I looked up the temperatures there in the summer. Summer temperatures are going to be, 38 to 41. And in the winter, they're going to be 30 to 32. So you're going to be right around freezing the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. In terms of centigrade, it'll be maybe 3-4 degrees centigrade above. So that's above freezing. So it's maybe 5 degrees Fahrenheit, 5-6. That's enough to prevent you from being seriously chilled. It'll be rainy and foggy and wet and slippery, but it won't be icy. Unless there's a cold snap, but there probably will not be.
Or some that slides down off that volcano, but
yeah,
so let's. You were there, in '97, and the weather. I mean, the wind's always blowing. I mean, do you have rain? Do you have snow? I mean, it's not going to be just a nice, beautiful day, is it? Or well, maybe it could be.
It's going to be not nice, beautiful day, but we're hoping that one day, at least, the fog and clouds will dissipate, the sun will come out, the flags will blow gently, and we'll take a lot of photographs and say, it's really lovely, wish you were here, or something like that. But most of the time, it's going to be dark, very dark. Remember, the ground is volcanic ash, so it's black, it's very dark ground. And the cloud cover is very dense, so it's going to be almost like a twilight all the time, dark and rainy and foggy. That's just the way it is. So,
all right. So you're gonna the ship is gonna take you. There's a little dock there. They're gonna take you as close as they can.
Yeah.
Without running on the ground. Yeah.
Just the beach.
Yeah. And then I guess smaller boats take you in the rest of the way. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll have inflatable boats. So we will load these inflatable boats from the Braveheart, and then they will run the equipment and the personnel in onto the beach, and they can drive right up on the beach because it's sandy, it's shallow, and it's protected. So run it right up on the beach, husky the stuff out of the inflatable boat. The boat goes back, and some guys carry this stuff or pull the wagon over to our campsite, which is probably 500 feet away from where we would land. So it's going to be an effort, but it's certainly doable. There's not a showstopper anywhere in any of that.
So one of the questions was about 6 meters. Are you going to try 6 meters?
No.
Yeah, I understand.
No, we're not going to have any propagation, and we don't have the capacity to take equipment and we don't want to take the time. The best bet, let's say that you're a DXer and you do not have Heard Island in your log. We're going to favor you. We're going to try and stay on what we might call the money bands, 20 meters, maybe 40 meters, as long as we reasonably can, so that we can work as many people for their all-time new ones, their at-nos, as possible. And we're hoping that the veteran DXers, the ones who have Heard Island already on 15 band modes, will sort of give the small pistols and the at-no guys a chance first. With 3 weeks of operations almost, we'll have time to work everybody that has a sensible station and sensibly works to work us. But we do want to favor the all-time new ones in advance, and the poor guys who have 100 watts and a dipole in the attic.
Yeah. What about any digital modes? Anything?
We'll run RTTY. Nothing exotic. We talked about more exotic modes. Joe Taylor, who's invented very weak signal techniques and those various modes. But we finally opted against it. We want to get as many people in the log as possible rather than explore any exotic modes.
Now, I'm assuming it costs a lot of money to do these. Have you reached your funding level yet, or are you still needing a little bit?
Well, it's a really good question. I can't give you a precise answer. We have been extremely successful in fundraising, and part of that is because we have some major corporate sponsors. The tents, for instance, the main shelters are about a $50,000 value. We would have to have raised that and spent that, but they provided them no cost to us. The satellites were provided by Inmarsat, the terminals, and the unlimited free airtime. It's all free to us. There's about a $20,000 value. The bunk beds were donated to us, and a bunch of other things. Of course, all the radio gear was donated or lent to us. That's common with DXpeditions. But what we've been able to do is achieve about, maybe as much as $80,000 of in-kind donations from corporations that don't usually give to radio expeditions. And because of that, our fundraising task has been lower than many DXpeditions experience. If we didn't have that, we would have to be out pounding the pavement and begging for money and maybe raising the cost of our QSL cards and so on in order to meet our budget. But we're going to be able to meet our budget. There's still in front of us a number of unknown expenses. There's shipping costs, there are port fees, and there's some purchases if we have the opportunity to use and therefore purchase an ATV. That will cost something. We have hotels to pay for. A few things are unknown, so we don't know exactly where we stand in terms of the total amount of cost. We do know we have plenty of money to carry this expedition off, so it's not in risk of failure. There's zero risk of it failing. The only question is how generous will people be between now and the very end of it in making optional donations and purchasing or paying for the QSL cards in that regular operation.
Well, probably a lot of people don't realize what it takes to do all the things that you guys do. You've been planning this for a long time, and I think it's safe to say that probably a DXpedition like this would cost $500,000. Now, I know you don't want to give out the exact number, but are we in a ballpark at $500,000 here?
Yeah,
or are we low?
Yeah, as I explained, we don't actually know the precise number because we don't know exactly what expenses are remaining. They are proportionally relatively small. That's why I can say we're going to succeed. But you're absolutely right. It's most of $500,000.
And you start planning this probably years ahead of time. And I know you showed a picture a minute ago of your operating plan. That operating plan, I guess, includes everything from backup transportation to, an illness, or if someone gets sick or even dies on the expedition, how are you going to handle those things, right?
Well, you're right. One of the things, first of all, in a sense, in a poetic sense, I started the planning for this in 1997 when I left. As I was leaving Heard Island, I knew immediately, if of all the places that I've been, the one place I would like to go back to is Heard Island. And so about 3 years ago, I made the decision to lead another expedition there. And so it's taken us about 3 years to put this in place. And we're right on the threshold of actually doing it. Essentially, everything is in place now. A lot of that time had to do with transportation, getting the right vessel at the right price and the right schedule and so on. It's not as easy as it used to be, and it's not as inexpensive. It is extraordinarily expensive to get transportation. That's the real challenge for all of these kinds of expeditions. And Heard Island is probably the most difficult of all places to do an expedition like this to, because it is farther away from any other place for an expedition. It's the longest distance that you have to travel, and therefore the longest time that the participants have to be away from home, 40 some odd days. So this kind of a project, specifically Heard Island, rules out a lot of people who would otherwise have really enjoyed this trip, and we would have been happy to have them. A lot of friends are just simply unable to go because the time is too long. The money is also a real challenge. Each of the current team members has put in $18,000, and then we did fundraising on top of that. That's because it's so darned expensive.
So each member has put in $18,000 each?
That's correct.
Wow, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
That's just so us little hams here can work a new country, right? So hey, Dr. Bob, you're you know the people that you're getting the boat from. You've used them before, right?
I've not actually done an expedition with the Braveheart guys, but of course we're all aware.
They've done a number, yeah. I've heard stories where some of these boats maybe aren't so reliable. I heard of one DXpedition, they took the ship out with all the equipment and it sunk. I'm not sure which one that was, but they had to buy all new radios. Yeah. And then I don't know. It's just you got to be careful there. So,
well, I can add a comment to what you just said, and that is, as I mentioned a minute ago, it's the transportation, it's the boat that's the real challenge in these expeditions. And a lot of the challenge there is not only finding the boat, but making sure it doesn't fall out from under you. And I don't mean that literally. I don't mean it sinking out from under you. I mean it not. The boat doesn't keep their word. We had 3 vessels that I had an agreement with, and then they reneged on the agreement. And that just throws your planning all to pieces. And almost any serious DXer, and certainly all of the DXpeditioners, could tell you, they could make a list for you of other DXpeditions that have failed because the vessel failed. And so in some sense, the art and science of a successful DXpedition is, first, get a reliable vessel, the right vessel, and make sure that it's reliable and that they are going to be there when you need them. And number 2 is plan. We spent 3 years of basically full-time, all day, every day for me, and a number of other people who engaged, probably 10,000 hours of preparation for this expedition. So reliable vessel, and then plan. And of course, the priorities are by policy. I've set the policy. Safety is first. We don't risk lives or major property, and we don't risk failure by being not planned and unprepared and so on. So the priorities are safety, number 1. Number 2 is accomplishing the expedition's goals, and number 3 is your personal satisfaction. And I'm completely confident now that for this expedition, the team is going to get all three of those things because we have succeeded. We have a reliable vessel. The Braveheart's absolutely wonderful, reliable. We have planned the project in extraordinary detail, and so I know that everybody is on this project is going to be satisfied. And I hope the DXers will consider themselves part of the team. We're on the island, but you're also part of the generalized team concept. We all want the same thing. It's your call sign in our log. So whatever the DXers can do to help that happen, that's what we want to.
All right, I went ahead and posted the phone number. We'll see if anybody wants to give us a call and say hello to you, have a question.
Sure.
For our shortwave listeners out there, if you want to watch this webcast, you can go to w5kub.com. That's W5 Kilo Uniform Bravo.com, and you can actually join our chat room and watch the video. It's been a great video so far, talking about a radio DXpedition down to Heard Island. So let's see. The phone lines are open. I was looking at questions. If I had any other questions here, there were a lot of questions coming in during your presentation that we didn't interrupt you. So if anybody has any more questions, put them back in the chat room or give us a call at. And for our shortwave listeners, I need to say the number, 901-286-1116. Call us at 901-286-1116. And it's in the U.S., so if you're an international caller, you'll have to put the country code in front of that.
Yep.
So you had a couple other pictures there. Do you want to throw a few more pictures up and let's just see what you've got?
Sure. And if anybody calls in and wants to interrupt or ask a question about it, I'm happy to do that. So
we can do that.
Let's see if I can. These are pictures of the island. And these, I have to go back to this and start. Now, can you see my page that says supplement?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Here's some images of Heard Island. There's Big Ben. This is a photograph taken years ago and another one taken years ago. So these are the kinds of scenes that we will see there.
Look at the wind blowing the snow around there.
Yeah. This is Mawson Peak, and this was taken around February 1st, and right up here, that's the top of Big Ben, and it doesn't show quite as well as the first picture I showed at the beginning of this program, but this is the smoke from the eruption, and probably some sort of lava or cinders or something rolling down the mountain. We probably can't climb that high, so we won't have the opportunity to go up there. A view, look how big this volcano appears, and that's the feeling that you have when you're there. Oh my God, this mountain is monstrous. It's 9,000 feet high, and it's 20 miles tip to tip. And this is the Lawrence Peninsula. Here's the peninsula. In 97, I took a hike out here, and I got this far and had to turn back. This time we're hoping and expecting to be able to get all around here and explore that. Maybe we'll collect some rocks because this is the old part of the island, and maybe we'll discover some new plants or animals there. Here's a shelter put by the Australian government on that peninsula, and it's there, so the guys that go over there can probably spend the night in there. And there's a cone. That's not as small as it looks. That's several hundred feet across. Yeah. Cone on that peninsula.
Well, was that some type of grass or algae, or what was that growing back there?
It's I can't tell you for certain what species it is, but there's some grass, and there's a larger shrubby like thing called Kerguelen cabbage, and it spreads around. There's green areas on many places on the island. This may be that. But we may have to get there and look at it up close, find out. Here are the lagoons. There are 4 major lagoons. They are all on the eastern side, Spit Bay. So you saw the pictures before. This is Spit Bay. And again, this used to be a glacier. Less than 10 years ago, this was all a big glacier. Now it's all a big lagoon. And there's there's a small opening into this lagoon to the ocean from the southeast side. Here is another lagoon nearby that has no opening. This is isolated. Here's a lagoon a little further up the coast, and it has a very, very small opening right there that floods back and forth as the tide sloshes back and forth. And then this lagoon has a very large opening. And if you'll notice, in all of these lagoons, these very heavily laden sediment flows or rivers flow into these and deposit a lot of sediment. And that provides a place where plants and animals could live at the bottom of the lagoon. That would be called myofauna. Again, a close-up of this. We've seen this several times. There's a photograph taken in 2012. That's what we will see when we're there.
Yeah, we got a caller. Stand by, caller. Just a second.
Yep.
I'll see my penguins.
They're the penguins, yeah.
Yes,
Probably penguins.
I think I may have lost a caller. Yeah, caller, call back in. Let's try this again.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Here's another picture of this lagoon. Again, this used to be a glacier. All the glacier, now it's a lagoon. And those were elephant seals. A perspective or an altitude view. I think this was taken at about 2,300 feet elevation, but it's not a photograph. It's the Google Earth image after some processing. And here you see this glacier that used to stick out all in here, and now it's flooded into this lagoon. A different lagoon, I showed you all 4 of them, and you see these streams flowing in and carrying a lot of sediment. There's a closer up view of it.
Who's on the phone?
This is Rich.
Who's on the phone?
Don't hear a thing.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Well, he's not hearing us, he said. I don't know why.
That's Rich, KY6R.
Oh, was that Rich?
I think so.
Okay.
I heard his voice.
Well, I told Rich to give a call and say hello, but I don't know why he's not hearing us. Okay. Oh, well. Well, hey, we'll try another call. Maybe we've got phone problems. I don't know.
Okay. Here was one of the lagoons, and this was there 10 years ago in 2007, but this channel is closed up, and there's this other channel at the other end of this that is open. Again, emphasizing the dynamic and change. There's this other channel. This was there in 2014. Who knows? When we get there, it may not be there. We will walk up here and look at it.
Let me just mention this. LW4DAF is in here. I think they're in Argentina, and they're a teacher, and they're looking up the Heard Island. They want to use some of this information for their classes. Who we got on the phone? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Well, I guess we have one-way phones tonight. Not sure what their problem is.
I can hear him, Tom.
Yeah, I know. I can hear him too, but
clear enough to talk with him.
He's not hearing us. Caller, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, he's not hearing us. All right.
Man.
Sorry about that. Oh well.
If you do make a connection with him, or if he can hear me, we would be delighted. We have several schools that are doing projects with us, collaborating with us, and we may very well be able to talk with them on a live call, maybe even a video call from Heard Island to interact. And some of the schools are doing projects. So I would welcome any group, any educational group, school group, class, whatever, who wants to learn more about Heard Island, interact with our group, and we would be pleasured to know about you. Okay.
Okay. All right. Go right ahead.
Have a few more pictures.
Sure.
Is there another caller there?
Well, I don't think so. I'm checking all our cabling. We tested the call before. We tested the call before the show, and it was working fine. So I don't know.
Okay. Here's another of the lagoons, and there are two things I'm going to point out to you. One is down here. There's an inlet, and it's really interesting. And there's another inlet at this point. So I think I have. Yeah, here is sort of the delta. Look how complicated this is flowing over. These are probably rather hard rocks, and so this braided delta kind of inlet to this is probably completely different now. So we're gonna hike over there and try and document it. Of course, we're not on a satellite, but we might be able to fly our drone and get this kind of an image on site and compare it with this from 2014.
Now, do you have a drone pilot?
Yeah, we have two different drones and two people to pilot them.
All right.
Person to pilot each one.
I've been thinking about getting one, but I'll probably get it hung in a tree and I'll lose it. And they're pretty expensive.
Go out into an open field first before you. Yeah. Here is a phenomenal piece of geology on Heard Island. I discovered this scanning and studying the images, satellite images. So this apparently is a big glacier, and so it's ice, and the ice is old, and it's covered with ash or some kind of sediment, maybe glacial flour and so on. But this is being washed down, and this kind of gash has opened up here, and what you're seeing apparently is the ice of the glacier underneath. And as time goes on, the sediment washes from the above this gash and collects on the bottom. So this gash actually moves upward in time. And I think I have there's a close-up image of it. And there are two or three, at least two other places on the island where I see a similar feature, not quite as well shown. But here is this thing. Here's the same image in 2014, and here's that image in 2007. And if you carefully measure, say, from the stream up to the bottom of the gash, and then that's in 2007. Now from the stream up to the bottom of the gash in 2014 is bigger. In other words, this gash is higher than it was before. It's a kind of moving upward, empty place. And here's the mechanism. Starts like this, a chunk of it erodes out and piles up down here, and then after a while another chunk, say this chunk right here, falls down, gets trapped here and kind of fills in some here, but that gash moves upslope. So that's newly recognized for Heard Island and is really quite an astonishing effect, and we're going to do our best to hike up there and see if all of this good theory is actually true. This shows how fast the glaciers are retreating, some of them. Here's 1947, the red curve, 1988, 2003, 2016. And so these are at the rates of 25 meters per year and accelerating generally. So right now, this whole area, which in 1947 was glaciated, that whole area is now exposed. We call it deglaciated, and there's probably organisms that have been under a glacier for 20,000 years that are now newly exposed, and also organisms that are jumping onto this new land and colonizing it.
All right. Hello. Do we have a caller?
Hello, this is Rich.
Hey, Rich, can you hear me? Rich, can you hear me? Okay. Well, I kicked it and I hit it with a hammer. I thought we might have fixed it, but we didn't. So, Rich, I'll say goodbye, Rich. We're not hearing you. All right.
Yeah,
so, we've got some phone problems, but
I'll call Rich after we're finished.
Yeah. Well, Rich is answering a lot of questions in the chat room. I just invited him to call in.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I appreciate Rich being there. He's the co-organizer. This project could not have been done without him, and it's some kind of a world record of amount of effort compared to going. He's not able to go to Heard Island, yet he's put in enormous effort to make this successful. So he really deserves a lot of credit for the success of this. Here, yet another image of this big glacier near Spit Point. This was 2006. and 2014. It's all melted away. Pretty impressive. And I think these are the last few pictures. These wiggly yellow lines around the periphery of the island. Remember, this is 20 miles from tip to tip. Those are the streams that are flowing off of the mountain and down to the ocean. And so those are the streams that we want to sample. We want to climb up to the headwaters of as many of those as we can and collect water containing materials that we want to analyze. So seen from the side, this is sort of where they are. I've enhanced this with some white lines. They aren't as bright as that in real life, but that shows you where they are. Here's an example. See all this green that we were talking about before? And then here is this stream that flows from its headwaters. It comes right out of the rocks here. Out of the rocks here, it's a melting glacier, but it comes off of the rocks, may go underground, I'm not sure. And then it's a mildly wiggly river all the way to the ocean, and there are quite a few examples like this. Okay. The meanders in the river are related to the flow rate and the material and so on. Here's one that goes under a rock fall. This is a rock fall, and this river just went right under it and goes right to the ocean. Notice it comes out of a hole in the rock up here. This is this lava flow, a fresh lava flow. I don't mean fresh like 20 years ago or 100 years ago. This may be most of 1 million years old, but it's still young compared to, I'm sorry, this is probably a few 100,000 years old, which is young compared to the material on this terrace, which is probably 1 million years old. And again, you see these meandering streams that go up, and this goes up to these gashes that we looked at up close before. So we're going to try and hike up this river to get to this and examine those areas. Again, some of these coming out of the slope. We're going to fly our drones to see if we can get some close-up pictures of them. And this one, going into one of the lagoons, it goes into the ground here, and 130 meters later, it comes out of the ground. You saw another example of that in the big lagoon, but it's due apparently to the flowing of lava over a place where there was a stream already, and the stream says, I'm not amused, I'm going to go through anyway. So it cuts a path and carries on. More close-up pictures of these streams coming out of the ground. Here's one that's slightly different. This stream comes off of the glacier, goes in under this glacier somewhere, and then comes out here. You can tell in these pictures, you can walk into these holes. These are big tunnels into the glacier. We may be able to climb up there and walk in there. We'll get our feet wet, of course. And then on sort of flat, slopey areas, the river flow can be really complicated, meandering all around chaotically. So here is one flow pattern. It comes out of the rocks here and off of the mountain here and off of the mountain here and joins up and then eventually goes into the ocean. So I couldn't resist doing a lot of image analysis. So this is kind of what the geometry of this part of the river looks like. And no matter how far you zoom in, it looks really interesting and really complicated. So the hydrologists will be really interested in the hydrology going on Heard Island. So that's those are the extra pictures that I had, and the DXers will be able to read this up there. And that's
VK0EK.
VK0EK, that's right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, great, and that's a beautiful picture there. There you go. We got you back on there now. Okay. Well, Bob, sorry our phone line was only one way today, but we still got a lot of questions that came in through the chat room, and I relayed a number of those to you. Yep. And Rich has been answering questions just right and left in the chat room, so during your discussion there was a lot of questions that came up. Looking forward to talking to you guys while you're down there. We're going to try to get an update in here on our Tuesday night shows, the 21 days that you're there.
Yep.
And It ought to be fun. That's all I can say. Looking forward to it. So you'll be operating. About what day will you be operating? I know you're leaving March 1st.
Let's call it March 20th plus a day or two.
Okay.
I don't know if the sea state is terrible and we have to slow down, that costs us time. If it takes longer for us to set up than we think, we have an advantage because we can blow up our tents in 15 minutes. It takes longer than that, of course.
Yeah.
But we may be able to get going faster than most DXpeditions can because of the simplicity of our shelters. So March 20th plus a day plus 2 days, and all that will be posted on the website.
And will you actually operate 21 days or plus or minus a few?
I don't think so. The contract is a stay at Heard Island for 21 days. We have the option of staying longer. That means we would be delayed arrival. If we stayed, say, 2 or 3 days more, we would be delayed more, and people would miss flight reservations and hotel. And so I think that's kind of not the choice, won't be the choice. If we're delayed, we just lose days. That's part of the price that's paid. It's an expedition after all. It's not a tour. And what expedition means is you can't predict everything and you can't promise that everything will unfold exactly according to the script. And that's what makes it fun and interesting as well.
We had a viewer that tuned in, and couldn't talk. I think we've already covered this, but he asked if you'd be using the glacial ice for a water source. But you're going to carry all your water, right?
What a great question. You're on the next expedition also. No, the answer is probably no, but that's not because the glacial ice wouldn't be sensible water, although it probably has cinders and bird dew incorporated in it. We wouldn't mind. We can filter it. But it's too far away. It's most of a mile away. And the boat, the Braveheart, is going to provide us with the fresh water. Now, if we actually end up having an ATV and we can drive over to the glaciers, maybe it will be fun for us to collect a big chunk of ice, carry it back, and I can tell you if that happens, I'm going to put some glacial ice in my gin and tonic and toast the gods of the volcano.
So what kind of food are you going to take with you? What will you guys be eating?
Well,
hot dogs every night?
Having learned something about what's in hot dogs, no, I don't eat many hot dogs anymore. The boat is providing all of the food, and they will really reach out to us and provide everything we need, except we understand that on the VP8 trip, they didn't have any snacks. You know, we're addicted to peanuts and Cheetos and Ruffles and things like that. So we will have a bunch of our own snacks that we can munch on. Probably some candies, some hard candies, and crackers, things like that. But the main meals will come from the boat. And to be honest, I don't know exactly what they will prepare. We do have an emergency supply of food, so if something goes terribly wrong, I mean really terribly wrong, the team could live on Heard Island plenty long enough that some kind of rescue operation could be mounted.
Yeah, and I think you also mentioned, I think, that the Australian government has some food stored there.
You know, I don't actually know that. I can surmise, or we could speculate, and I have not asked them, and it doesn't matter an awful lot, but I would guess that there's some rations inside those shelters because they are designated as refuge shelters. So that would mean, for instance, if tourists go onto the island, and they do once in a while, there was a group in 2012, and suddenly the weather turns and they can't get people off of the island, what would they do? Would they just sit on the beach all night? And the answer is no. They would go into those refuge shelters. Those were installed in 2003 at the three places, Atlas Cove, Spit Bay, and Long Beach. So you can imagine that there's probably some, I don't know, chocolate bars and instant oatmeal and dried figs and prunes and stuff like that. I'm just speculating. I don't really know. Whatever might be there, we will certainly not eat it and leave nothing there. If we have extra food that would survive long term, let's say we had dehydrated or canned food, we will leave it there for the people who may actually need it.
Okay, well, we've been going with it a little over an hour and a half now. It's been, I think, a great discussion on VK0EK, the Herd Island DXpedition. That's going to be kicking off here real soon. Is there any last minute words you'd like to say about the DXpedition?
Well, I would certainly like to thank you for this chance to show what we're doing and give the update of the schedule. So I thank you for this time. I'd like to thank, of course, the major supporters, all the corporations. This is all listed on our website on the link sponsors, and individuals. We're the beneficiary of a lot of personal donations. A lot of them are quite large, $100 or more, considerably more. And that's really essential. It really has, what it has done is free us from the drudgery of and the annoyance of having to pound the pavement and harangue people to help pay for the expedition. It is being voluntarily paid for, and it's freed us to do the technical work, the preparation. And that's one of the reasons why we are as well prepared, I would say, as any DXpedition has ever been. And that's a bit of a tradition with my organization, Cordell Expeditions. We plan. And so this one is going to be ready to go when the in about a month. So I thank all the individual DX who have made and are making those donations. And of course, we want you to work VK0EK, and we will thank you in advance for helping make this a pleasurable experience, not an aggravating one. And I think the experienced people know what I mean. We're looking forward to having a fun time. I think it's going to be one of the great, all-time great DXpedition adventures for both sides, for those of us on the island and for those of you out there wanting to get your call sign in our log and experience a little bit of why Herd Island is such an adventure, such a romantic thing, why it's so hard, why it's so worth it. And when it's all over, let's get together at the conventions. I will be at, I can't be at Visalia. Rich is going to make our presentation at Visalia this year because I will still be on the expedition. I'll be at Dayton. I'll be at Friedrichshafen and as many other places I can. I will thank.
We'll see you at Dayton. Be sure and come by like last year, and we'll talk more about it. Well, Dr. Bob, thank you very much for coming on here with us tonight and talking about the Herd Island DXpedition. And I think it's a very interesting topic. Thank you very much, and we're going to stay in touch with you as you go down there, and we're going to let everybody keep up with you.
Very good. Maybe next time we'll be talking on the air from Herd Island directly to you.
All right, I'm going to try to work you. Okay, 73. Thank you very much.
73.
Okay, that was Dr. Robert Schmeider, KK6EK, from Walnut Creek, California. And we talked about Herd Island. Boy, that's going to be an exciting adventure. My mom said when I was little I used to watch TV and Boston Blackie would be on, and I would tell her it was an exciting adventure, probably 3 years old, Anyway, so hey, we're going to enter our informal part of our show tonight. So basically our formal part's over with. We want to ask anyone listening on shortwave on WBCQ 5110. If you're listening, you can still join us on our website w5kub.com, and you can join us there. And we're going to have what we call roundtable or hangout. We can have up to 10 people join us right now on video. We usually talk about anything. You never know what subject is going to come up, so it ought to be interesting. We always keep the webcast on. And, you know, if you have questions for the people in the hangout, just shoot them in the chat room, and we'll try to watch that. So let me see if I can get on hangout. I'm going to see if anybody is in there tonight. I'll try to log in here. I think we've got somebody in here. It'll take me just a second to... All right, yep. All right, let's see what happens here. Maybe our audio... Oh, I left a video call. Try it again. All right, looks like William's in there. Let's see. William, do you hear me? Boy, I tell you what, I wonder what in the world is going on here. Hang out, hang out, hang out. All right, William, can you hear me? Oh, boy. And there's Doc in here with his cigar. Guys, I'm going to get the audio fixed in a minute. I don't know what's happened to our audio. I'm going to have to play with this just for a second here. So, guys out there watching the chat or watching the webcast, just bear with us a minute. I'm going to try to troubleshoot our technical problem here. Let me show you who we got on Hangout. In Tennessee, we've got William on. We've got... Oh, what is that? Let me see what's happening here. We've got Doc on there. He's over in I have no idea. All right, let me close that. All right, well, let's see. Well, this part of the show may not work too good tonight. Let's see. Microphone. And let's see. Microphone USB. And speakers. Go here. All right, guys, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I got you now. I don't know what happened there.
A link to connect in.
Let me get some audio levels set now. Okay. So, okay, we got audio working now.
Cool. Yeah, Mike somehow called in on a different call. He tried to start up the call from last week.
This call?
Yeah, because if it's saved in your Hangouts, you can kind of like restart a call you already had.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of creates a new call. He just needs to click the link instead of opening up the previous Hangout.
All right. Well, guys, this is a Hangout. This is our roundtable part where we all sit around the couch and we in a coffee table and get us something to drink, like a Coca-Cola or a cigar or something like Doc and William there. And maybe we'll get somebody else join us here in a minute. Yeah.
So which one am I getting?
What's the temperature out there in Montana? You're in Montana, right? Yeah. What's the temperature?
Yeah. It's in the 40s, so it's really nice. I'm in my short sleeve golf shirt.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, let me get Doc in here, man. Doc, it was snowing over that way today, wasn't it?
Oh, that's really
snowing right now. I'm looking out the car window here. It's snowing right now. It's 20, 25, 22 degrees, something like that.
Wow. Yeah, we didn't get any here. My sister called me from Jackson today and told me it was snowing, and I was really surprised there.
This one?
I like snow. We missed the last snow last month. We weren't here when it hit, and I missed it. So I might not even get to see a snow this year.
It's been flurrying all day.
Yeah, I want to say hello to VK6RO down in Australia. He's on here all the time with us, and he's a faithful viewer, loyal viewer, and I just want to say hi to VK6RO. In fact, I've got a video he cut somewhere. I'll have to play that one night for everybody. It's 49 degrees in Texas. 40, whoa, it's 104 degrees down in Australia where he is.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike's still trying to call the other way.
So, okay, so Mike is trying to call the wrong number, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I put the hangout in
there's
the
Mike. He's here via my cell phone.
Well, Mike, I mean, I don't know how you can get the wrong. It's the same hangout last week.
Yeah, you got to click the link. So disconnect from this one and click the link in the chat room.
I'll post that link again.
Okay, I'm on my Medium trying to figure out what to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're like starting the other call.
If I can get it, let's see.
Okay.
See if you figure it out.
All right.
Well, that's cool. You can have a couple calls going at one time.
Here's the link. If anybody wants to join us, I didn't post the link, but there it is. If you'll click on that link, it should bring you into Hangout. You need to have a camera and a microphone, and you can join us there. So we got two of our regulars on Hangout tonight. We're representing Montana and Tennessee, so we need some more people to call in here.
Yeah, people are going to get tired of watching us all the time.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
not very exciting.
You know, there was.
We need some fresh meat.
Yeah, you know, one of the guys in the chat room said Tom would have plenty of medical questions to ask Dr. Bob there. I normally do, but I think I hit him with them last time, you know, and told him, now here we can talk more informally. Like, okay, if you're out on Hurt Island and a guy gets appendicitis, what do you do? Well, first of all, I was in the Air Force. Let me tell you, I can take a fingernail clipper and I can take an appendix out. What do you think about that, Doc?
I think you're full of crap.
Oh, hey, you do what you have to do, man. You know. And, hey, it reminded me, watching Dr. Bob talk about the tents and stuff. Well, I was in this real gung-ho deal in the Air Force and, survival school and all that kind of stuff. But we used to go out and, they'd call us in the middle of the night and we'd go out and set up an airbase somewhere and we'd set those tents up like that. And usually we would set it up where it was about 6 inches of snow. And we didn't have floors in our tent. We'd set the tent up, 12-man tent, and after about 4 or 5 days, the snow would all melt, in the floor, and it'd be dry in there. And we just had an old pot-bellied stove, a jerry can outside, a hose to run in, and that I guess is JP4 or diesel. It would just run in the bottom of that pot-bellied stove here, and we'd just throw a match in here, and it'd keep us warm there until it ran out of fuel in the early morning hours. But that was the good old days, man.
Sounds like the Scouts.
Yeah, well, I would not want to be on this DXpedition. Those guys are going to have it rough down there. I mean, 30-degree weather, probably raining, snowing most of the time.
Did you watch the video on their website down at the bottom of the page from the last DXpedition?
I don't think I've seen that.
Go to their website and it's scroll way down to the bottom and there's a video. It's about a 50-minute video of that the last expedition. Is really interesting. I may watch it again.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. So, well, I mean, that's a lot of stuff they have to take with them to be there, that long. And
last time they had a helicopter and it made 51 trips to dump all the stuff on the island.
Yeah, Mike has asked me, did I have a steel like Hawkeye and Trapper John? I didn't have a steel, but let me tell you guys. I mean, usually we ate C rations. That was before meals ready to eat and all that fancy stuff that you have today. So that tells you how old I am. But we had C rations, and I mean they were okay, but they weren't just great. But I used to carry. We used to carry a lot of food with us in a duffel bag, and the nice thing about it is, man, you put that tent up on snow, you take a case of Coca-Colas, and you just stick your Cokes out under the edge of that tent in that snow, by your cot there, and it gets cold. You got cold Cokes, and I take some canned chili and stuff like that. Now, you used to use You used to use a sterno stove.
In the night when you need to make a head call.
Yeah, you used to use a sterno stove to heat that up, but we tried a electric what do you call it? Heater, electric. Man, what's the word for it? The little stove you cook on, electric something or other.
Like a hot plate.
Yeah, hot plate. Yeah, it'd be like a hot plate, and of course we'd run about 5 or 6 tents on one generator, one big generator, but. So we would take one of these sockets, you'd screw in a light socket up there and run extension cord over there, and we'd plug our hot plate in. And boy, you turn that hot plate on, and you could hear that generator go, all the lights would go out. And it wasn't long before somebody would be throwing the door open. Anybody here got a hot plate? Nope, nobody here. So I think we ended up cooking mostly with sterno.
Yeah, well, those hot plates are like 1,500 watts. So.
Yeah.
I'll take down most generators.
Yeah, but these were I don't know how many kilowatt they were. I mean, they're pulled behind a deuce and a half. 2 wheels. Got a little diesel engine on them, and they're probably 5 or 10 kW. But gee, I mean,
I was running my generator a couple of weeks ago just to run the gas out of it, my little Honda generator, and I hooked up an oil heater to it, and you could really hear it dragging it down, and it ran it okay. I mean, it was it's a 2,000 watt generator, but it was you could tell it had a load on it.
Yeah, they don't quite run quiet when you have a decent load on it.
I had it on the eco setting, so it made a little bit more noise with the little load on it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if we ever turn on our coffee maker. If I didn't bring the French press kit, I'm like, I have to use this coffee maker, and the generator just revs all the way up and makes a racket.
Well, I saw in the chat room, Jeff said he had to go. He wouldn't be in here with us tonight, so I guess he has to get up early in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike was on his Mac or his little iPad or something like that, so he was having problems trying to reconnect in. And I don't have his direct contact information, so I can't add him to the call manually. So I'm not sure how he's going to get in. It's the same link as before, but
Mike said we can make a hot dog cooker using the extension cord and a wood plank and a couple of nails. I tried that, but I'm going to tell you something. In fact, I've got a picture. I'll show you our hot dog cooker that we used to take and tried at Dayton. Now, we took 1,000 watt, one of these little small 1,000 watt generators. That's not much, but so I took extension cord, and I took 2 stainless steel antenna rods about a foot long each, and you hook that to the 2 wires, and you plug that in a generator, and you could stick about 4 hot dogs on there, down it looked like a ladder. And man, we would plug that thing in a generator. Those hot dogs pulled that 1,000 watt generator down. It really bogged it down. It's amazing how much it bogged it down.
Like Gordon West doing his pickle experiment. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sure they would have cooked well done if we'd had a good power source like a home AC. But that 1,000 watt generator, 4 hot dogs pulled that sucker down where it almost didn't want to run.
Oh, you're running into a dead short.
Well, not a dead short, but I don't know what the resistance was when those hot dogs started. That all that juice and stuff.
Put your ohm meter on it and see what it looks
like. Yeah, I could do that.
Probably in the single digits.
Yeah, it probably was. Probably was. So later, hey, we found out we started taking a little George Foreman grill, and
Oh yeah.
and then I think the guy next to us, we used to use his 2,000 watt Honda generator. It handled that George Foreman grill good. Man, you could lay those hot dogs on that George Foreman grill, close that top, and man, you know, within a minute, man, you had some good tasting hot dogs there.
It's not really like camping though.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
you gotta get some soot on them, you know, make them taste
Yeah,
good.
char.
Yeah.
Got to leave the fat in them. That George Foreman takes all that fat away. That's no good.
Well, if there's anybody from Dayton listening, they'll probably ban me for the story I'm fixing to tell. If there's anybody on here from Dayton Hamvention, now's the time to go get coffee. You come back in about 5 minutes. Let me tell you, we used to put this big shelter up outside, and we even carried carpet with us, and, you know, put carpet down. Carpet. Is Mike getting here? Hey, Mike.
Yep.
There he is.
Yeah, I had to go back to my computer. I was trying to use my mini iPad, and I
Yeah, you know, we
put it on there, and I just can't figure out how to get it connected on that.
well, you're in there
ringing
now.
my phone, so it was working sort of.
So hey, you know, we put our tent up there, and we also carried raised flooring in, because water would always flow across that parking lot about 3 inches deep. So we always carried flooring with us, and put flooring in here where it would run underneath. And it would take us, you know, several hours to build this thing and put the flooring in and all that. Well, the guy behind us knocked over a jerry can and backed over it with his car or truck, and all that gasoline went under our booth.
Oh man.
So the fire department, everybody came out there, and we weren't there. I didn't know what was going to happen. I figured they could have just tore our tent down, you know, to clean that stuff up. But, you know, they hosed it down, and whatever they do, you know, they probably sprayed some kind of chemicals or something on it there. But you know, we came back and found out all this. But anyway, I think that year we carried one of these little propane camp stoves, had the 2 burners on it, and it didn't want to light right. You know, like it had like liquid propane. It was kind of dripping from the end of the tank, you know, down onto the carpet, and a little fire kind of started on the carpet there, and you know, so luckily we always carried a fire extinguisher with us. We used it, and we saved a day there. So we don't do anything like that. So okay, Dayton people, you can come back now.
Well, at least it wasn't a holding tank that ruptured. So.
Yep.
Oh.
All right. Now, okay, I've got the beta version again. All the names have disappeared. Oh, Texas. Hello, Texas.
It's Jerry.
Jerry. Hey, Jerry.
That's right.
What's going on, guys?
I know. You worked late again tonight.
No, man. I had a couple of household projects I needed to complete. I'm still in the middle of one. But I'm going to be joining you guys because I see Mike keep pinging me.
Well, you get. I'm gonna give you 10 demerits tonight for not checking in on the webcast tonight. We had a real good webcast about Island DXpedition, and you got 10 demerits, man.
Yeah, you learned you got to have deep pockets to go
That's
to.
right.
Yeah.
My next DXpedition would be to J3 land, bro. Nothing else.
Now, where is that?
J3, Grenada.
Oh, Grenada. Okay.
That's the best place to be.
All right. Well, I've been here a couple times. We didn't hit Grenada this last trip a few weeks ago. I hit Grand Cayman and Aruba, and of course the Panama Canal and a couple places, Central America, but we didn't hit Grenada.
Every so often I try to get there so I can do some DXing, and I do usually come up with my logbook all filled up, so you know how it goes.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're not that far off from Dayton now. We're about 3 months away, so we're in our planning mode already. We've got our spaces up there, and I'm talking to my satellite people about getting our private internet satellite connection put in. I haven't heard from them.
Who do you end up using? Exceed or one of those?
Yeah,
guys?
I've been using Exceed the last 4 years. They've been coming up and basically putting it in for us and leaving a tech there with it the whole show.
That's great.
I think they do a pretty good job.
Well, it's about the only thing that works up there. I mean, so we've been happy with it. What's
your uplink speed?
Well, it's 12 megs down, 3 up, and we usually stream about probably we've been streaming around 1,500 or so. We're streaming 2,000 kilobits per second right now. So the 3 meg could probably do us. It'll do fine. And like I say, it's better than anything else up there. Nothing else up there works.
Yeah, because you only push out 720p or video or.
Yeah, I think we've got it. I think we've got it set for 1280 by 720, which is 720p.
Yeah, 720p, yeah. Yeah, that's about all you need for YouTube, especially. I mean, you could stream at 1080p, but it's you really want to have the content for that.
Yeah, well,
to justify the bandwidth usage.
It'd probably melt the computer I'm running on too. So we try to make sure the thing stays on too.
Yeah. 720 is a lot more resilient.
Well, they always, now Exceed does have a data limit cap per month or something. I forget what it is, but they always turn that cap off for us.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd hit it pretty quick.
Well, let's see. We've got Mike in there.
What's the weather up there, Mike?
Snowing, blowing,
and cold.
yeah, we've had all kinds of. It's my wife, matter of fact, just said a while ago. It's still howling out there right now and snowing. So it'll be snowblower time again tomorrow morning.
It's snowing here in East Tennessee, not heavy, but it's. I can look at the floodlights here, and it looks like a little shower coming down right now. We may have. They've delayed school a couple hours in the morning, so.
Yeah, it started yesterday afternoon, and it's continuing on.
I think whatever hits the road's probably going to stay there because it's supposed to be down in the teens tonight, I think.
Well, what do you mean supposed to be down? I'm down to 15 right now.
I'm talking about in East Tennessee.
We get down to 0 before the night's out.
Y'all can keep it too. I'm going golfing this weekend.
Well, you better have a big orange ball here if you're going to golf.
Yeah, we're looking for 50s all this week and next week.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna fix my audio while you guys are talking. I have absolutely no audio going back to that PC, so I'm gonna work on it while y'all talk.
Probably unplugged.
Yeah, follow the cable. It's the one sitting on the floor that's not plugged in.
That's always the case.
Yeah. Always check the obvious stuff first, right? That's, Well, it's Mardi Gras. There should be like beads and stuff here, right? Got like everybody's got some beads.
I've got some in the house, but I don't have them out here. I should have thought about that.
Well, this is Fat Tuesday. Everybody have their punch keys today?
Yeah, all right. You gotta have your slushy and everything else.
You be punch key.
Join the Fat Tuesday Club.
Yeah, eat a few of those punch keys, and you'll start getting fat.
I do have my big orange cigar here in honor of the Broncos. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that was a pretty good game.
My man Peyton Manning, love him.
Well, he didn't do much for it, It's pretty much the defense won that game.
Yeah. He only threw one interception, and he got that 2-point conversion. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. Just the look on Cam's face the whole game was was worth the price of admission. He was so dismayed. He's like, "What the heck?"
And he even walked out of his interview or whatever you call it after.
Yeah. I would have expected a little bit more class from him than that, really.
He's still young. You know, it was just in the draft, a couple of years ago? 2011? 2012, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of career in front of him, so.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, there's no question about it. But, you know, you can't, only one team can win, so.
Yeah.
It wasn't their time.
No, they'll have more opportunities. I don't doubt that. He's a great quarterback.
Agreed. I hope Peyton hangs it up. Actually, I'd hate to see him get hurt. You know, he's got the rest of his life to live, and he certainly made his mark. I don't know that he's going to prove anything else. Sometimes people don't know when to get out. You know, they get past their prime, and then everybody looks at them and says, you know, why didn't he go out on top? Politicians come to mind.
Yeah, I think he'll make an announcement about it. Elway did it after. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings now, and so does his brother, so he's matched him. So.
Yeah. That's right. We want him to come back to Tennessee and coach the quarterbacks or something. So sell Papa John's pizza or something.
I think it's Budweiser beer he's promoting.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's what I had for supper tonight.
Yes.
I didn't hear anybody say they were going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a picture of him at Disneyland. You know, I don't know if it was photoshopped or what, but I saw it on Facebook. Looked like he was on a float or something.
Let's see here.
What have you been up to, Jerry?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Just been here. Just...
Working.
I've been actually looking for work.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's slow in the market right now.
Okay. Where's the harmonic tonight?
Someone with a mom, somewhere in the living room.
Okay. He's a cutie.
Yeah, and a troublesome too.
Mic test 1 2 3 4.
Did you check the cable, bro?
What was that?
He was asking Tom if he checked the cable.
He checked the cable.
I'm checking all kinds of cables. Test 1 2.
Are you sure that mic is on?
You're 20 over here.
Yeah.
Send some.
Let me try something here.
Videos here.
Okay. Be right back.
I tested the phone line this afternoon. It worked okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I could hear that guy, but he couldn't hear you.
Yeah, everybody that did call in, we could hear her, but...
Test 1 2. Test.
That's what I like
test,
about
1
this
2
show.
3 4.
It's so informal. You never know what's going to work or not work.
Yeah.
That's ham radio.
Yeah.
Ooh, feedback. Ow.
Test 1 2.
Ground loop. Sounds good.
Yeah, but the phone line's not hearing me back.
Is there a contest this weekend?
Test.
Gosh, I don't know.
I thought I saw something on the calendar. Let's see. Contest calendar.
No ham radio here. We got a big dog sled race here this weekend.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The Iditarod? Oh, wait, no.
Well, it's a build-up for the Iditarod. It's 200.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and we'll take off Friday night from downtown and come back in Sunday. Yeah, that's the big thing. All our hams will be involved in that up here. That's the big thing going on this weekend here.
All right. I got the mic fixed.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, we have the CQ Worldwide
somebody
ready.
join us. Somebody in the chat room join us. Give us a call. Let's test the audio out. Let me see.
Yeah, Mike hears you. I hear you.
Well, yeah, you're not on the telephone.
School roundup.
You're not on the telephone.
Iranian ham radio contest.
What's the phone number? I got a little bit of battery left.
CQR ready. WPX
286.
Say it again. What is it? Say it one more time, Tom.
901-286-1116. I have no doubt it's working. At least the mic now. The speaker side may not be. Let's see. Somebody's calling in. Let's see. Hang on. Here we go. All right. Hello.
Hello.
Who we got there?
Pretty good on here.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay, he can hear me. Now, let me just get a little volume on him. Let's see. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, who's the caller?
It's me, Phil, NE4RDAD.
Oh, hey. I didn't know who you were.
Weren't you paying attention? Who's
I
calling?
muted myself here.
Okay. All right. So you're hearing us, and I guess I'm hearing you. So the phone line's working now.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Are there any questions for Dr. Bob now? Give us a call. All right. Bye.
No,
there we go. That worked fine.
It's hard to fix stuff like that when you're doing a show, you know. That's
yeah,
why
the audio sounded really good through it.
My audio engineer here.
Really good audio sent to the phone, so really good quality.
And I didn't know what level is it even set it at, so.
It was perfect. It was great.
Okay, good.
Plenty loud enough coming back in.
All right, anybody want to join us in the chat room out there? Call 901-286-1116. Join Hangout. If you don't have a camera or anything, you can still join us by telephone.
Yeah, I'm on a computer.
We would have had Jeff call. Jeff would have called, but he had to leave early, so he would have called.
Just need to probably bookmark the that web link, and that's it.
See what I'm doing? I don't know if you can see it or not, but well, let me show you. I can show you. Let me do a different camera here. We'll do that camera right there.
Jerry's got a headlamp on.
We'll do that camera there. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. We're using a USB audio device for the audio on that laptop over there.
Okay.
And I don't know. Either it wasn't selected properly or this is bad. I don't know. Anyway, so to get sound back and forth between the computers, we have to use the FX channels, not the regular channels. If you were in on a regular channel, you'd be feeding it back to the webcast. So we're having to feed a separate audio channel back with the FX channel to allow the Skype and the phone PCs to talk to each other.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to take some Dramamine to watch this.
Yeah. There's where we were tonight. Here's our new mixer. You know that's our old mixer right there for our show, and then here's our Here's our new mixer.
Ooh.
So I haven't even figured it out yet. Old, new.
Is it bigger, better?
Got more knobs. It's definitely not SDR.
You're ready to go on the road.
It's even got a USB. It's even got a USB channel on it. Everything.
Read the manual.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes those UE channels have a little bit of delay in it.
Basically, it's just a picture that comes with it. It shows you where to plug the guitar in. That's all it is. There is no manual to tell you how to operate any of it because it's so configurable on how you want to route the audio through it. That's the problem. All right. K7. Oh, you know what? I was going to mention this tonight. K7LNP. I was going to mention this, and I didn't get to it tonight. This weekend, I was on a 2-hour talk show that featured us, our webcast, and ham radio, and I was on KTKK in Salt Lake City, Utah, AM 630, and the show was called Fringe Radio Show, and the host on that show is Pat, K7LNP. And he's in the chat room, actually. I headed up on my notes to talk about tonight, make an announcement about that, but I didn't get to it, so sorry about that. But
is that available for download
archived,
anywhere?
It's archived. I think if you go to KTKK, their website, it's archived if you want to hear the 2-hour webcast or the 2-hour podcast about us at Ham Radio. We talked a lot about the webcast and how we got started and why we do it and so forth.
I looked to see if it was archived. I went the next day because I couldn't.
Yeah, it's there. You got to kind of
find where anything to do.
Yeah, you got to kind of dig down. It's kind of hidden, but it's in there. On their links of the archive, you got to go down about 10 or 15 entries, and you'll see it down there. It'll say Tom Medlin.
So, I didn't even see her name in there. So
he's gonna. Pat says that he's gonna post it on their YouTube link, probably the whole interview on the YouTube link. It wasn't on there the other day. Let's see. I did post a link to it. Mike, if you're on our Facebook group, I did post a link in our Facebook group that went to the interview. So it's. Just look back in w5kb.com if you if you're interested in listening to a 2-hour discussion.
Well, I don't think I listened to the 2 hours of you, but
he did cut the commercials out, so it's straight. It's just 2 40-minute segments of me, man. That's what you're going to hear.
There we go. Hour 2. Were you able to fill the whole time?
Was that what?
Able to fill the whole time? You were concerned about not being able to talk.
We had plenty to talk about. Yeah. 1 hour into the interview, went to a commercial break and my phone hung up. Now I don't know if Pat did that intentionally. Pat's in here. I don't know if he hung me up intentionally, but I did call back in and Pat did put me on for the next hour segment. So. I think if he'd want to get rid of me, he wouldn't answer the call back.
Yeah, you're in trouble when it goes to voicemail.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we're sorry. All lines are full. Please try again.
Yeah.
And it's directed at Tom. Sorry, all lines are full.
So Pat, if you hey Pat, if you got a camera and you want to join us on here, get on here, Pat.
All of our agents are busy.
Let me post a link again. Let's see. Yeah, there's a link. If you click on that link, that should put you on the show here. Or, hey, Pat, call in on the phone if you want to and say hello there. It'll help me test the phone, too. So, phone number, 901-286-1116. I guess I could put the number back up on the screen again. Let me do that. We'll see if we can get somebody to... There we go. Let's see. I don't like that number. I'm gonna put a different number up here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's kind of cut off the screen.
There we go. Now that's a little bit better. All right.
I can almost see that.
Got what? Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. All right, Pat, give us a call, man. You're a radio guy. Get on here and talk to us. Oh, okay. You don't have a cam. You don't need a cam, Pat. Just call a phone number. I will put you on. I'll interview you for 2 hours tonight. Come on. We've got a whole host. We got a whole panel here.
I don't think I have enough cigars for that.
We've got a panel on here. They're from Eastern Tennessee, Texas,
Not much left here.
Michigan, and Montana. Oh, it's ringing. Let me. Hey, how you like it? Do y'all hear that ring? Listen.
Yeah.
Hear that? That little dink. Hear that? You like that?
That's not bad.
Much better.
All right.
How are you?
Who we got? Pat?
Yeah.
How you
Hey,
doing,
Pat.
man?
Good. How's it sound? How does this audio sound okay?
Yeah.
Sounds great.
It is.
Yeah, you're good.
Sounds good.
Oh.
A good show tonight, guys. Enjoyed listening to it.
Well, cool. Hey, glad to have you on here, man. Yeah, we were trying to figure out, did you hang up on me the other night, or did I just lose the connection?
And we usually talk about aliens and UFOs
Yeah,
and stuff.
I noticed that.
I think
Yeah,
one of
guys,
them might have done it.
Pat Show, we kind of broke the mold there. Pat Show is about aliens and UFOs and paranormal and those kind of things. And, when he brought the show on, he started talking about the show and how they talk about, aliens and paranormal and all this, leading up to me. I'm thinking, am I in the right place here,
Are you normal?
Exactly.
But
Paranormal or just normal?
Well, ham radio guys are kind of strange.
Yeah, wait till you go to Dayton, you'll find out how strange they are.
Sounds like an Art Bell knockoff, right?
There you go. But I had a good time, and thanks for coming on. And we received tons of great emails. I can go ahead and send some to you. A lot of good response out of the show. It went well.
Well, if you have time, there's some interesting emails. Send them to me. I was glad to hear you had some engineering students there that they actually wanted to hear about, my work at FedEx, more so than ham radio. So, but that was cool.
Yeah, we've been doing the show 7 years, and we've built a really loyal following. And we've got up at the University of Utah, the engineering school. There's a group of students up there that, I don't know, on a Saturday night you'd figure they'd be out doing something else, but they tune in all the time, and we've had a few of them on the show over the years, and just a great bunch of kids. And it's kind of fun to do the show, and they always send in questions, and they never call in, but they send in tons of emails usually.
Yeah. Well, shoot me a couple of them if you get a chance, and it'd be just interesting to hear a little feedback.
So is it like cigar smoking night tonight?
Yeah,
over there?
this is cigar smoke. We've got a couple faithful cigar smokers here. We got Doc down here in Eastern Tennessee, and we've got William out there in Montana.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they keep their cigars. I just keep my peanut M&Ms.
Have you still got your big bag of M&Ms left there, Mike? Let's see how much. Mike, I would have finished those suckers the first night.
Still got a whole pot of them.
Oh, in fact, I could stand some
It's
of
gotta
those
be a
right
new
now.
bag. It can't be the same bag.
Now, we usually have a guy on here with us, Kurt. He usually lights up his Piper cigar, but he doesn't have a camera, but he usually lets us know in the chat room. He's up in New Jersey, and he usually smokes with us here. Boy, man, when you blew that smoke here, it looked like it just kind of fogged up my whole table right here.
Yeah, it normally just takes out the camera. The web cameras suck.
I mean, I've got you on like 3 monitors, kind of, a panoramic view around me right here, and I actually thought the table had smoke on it.
I thought you had a yellow filter on there for a minute.
Yeah,
Man,
no.
Doc,
Webcams can't handle this stuff.
Doc could have used today. My mom came up here and went and had a little doctor visit, and she went out in the parking lot and fell down on her nose.
Oh,
and she had to go back inside, and the doctor put stitches in it.
Oh, man.
She's 90 years old and gets around like you wouldn't believe.
Is she still driving?
She does, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom's 92. She still drives.
Well, she wouldn't drive in Memphis or anything like this. She you know, in a rural area, she'll drive to like Kroger or somewhere like that.
Just down to the Elks for dinner, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, I enjoyed the show. It was a good show, and especially about Heard Island, that was very very informative. And I did comment, and kind of glad to see that you know, they're gonna. I mean, the Kate was at the Palmyra one. They never moved into the general portion of any band. It was always in the extra part of the bands and stuff. And it looks like these guys are going to kind of be there for everybody, and everyone will have a shot at them, which is good. Some of these DXpeditions are a little disappointing lately.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I may even try to work them. You know, I may give it a try here.
Well, it's been like a black hole here in Salt Lake City. We haven't heard. HF bands have been pretty quiet here.
I worked South Sandwich Island and in the South Georgia and Palmyra. I did hear Palmyra one time, actually. I think they were in the extra portion of the band, but they were listening up around 250 on 20 meters, at least one time, I know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel bad for some of these new hams nowadays, because I remember it was in the mid 80s, everything was just wide open. They just put anything up for antenna. You could talk to Europe all around it, and I can remember when I got my General, and it was, wow, I just talked the world, didn't need a whole lot of power. Nowadays, with that sunspot cycle, these guys are getting licensed, and some of them are getting a little discouraged because they're having a hard time making any DX.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse for right now, so we're going in the down cycle. Yeah. I remember in the late 90s it was pretty good, too. Could easily get Europe pretty much every day and pretty much work the world.
Yeah, stick a coat hanger in the back of the rig and get on 10 meters. That's all you needed.
Oh, yeah. Landtrout 99 in the backyard.
I used to work the European stations mobile all the time.
There was nothing to have a right, being able to have a right to at European stations. And I haven't heard them come in a long time.
We have a little bit on 17 meters, you know, from time to time. I've talked to a few of them still mobile, but you have to get it right.
Most of the ones I hear, you need to speak a little bit of Spanish.
Yeah.
South America.
Any of the guys in the group, are any of you guys VHF, UHF weak signal guys at all?
Used to be back in the 90s. Well, I operate some VHF, UHF, but I'm not a weak signal guy.
I still have the twins here.
In fact, I'm thinking about putting my azimuth elevation antennas back up for satellite work. There's some new satellites that just put up recently that look like they're a lot of fun. So I may try to by spring I may get my antennas back up for that.
I used to work on satellite when I was in Memphis.
Now with the digital modes, you know, a lot of guys are doing EME with a single Yagi, and you know, and running Joe's software, running, you know, JT, and having really, really good success.
Oh, that's
got
cool.
There, Kenwood.
Yeah. Got the old TR-851, 751 twins.
Yeah, I want to
laying on the bench.
I've never done the EME, and the only way I could do it here with, you know, low power, 100 watts or whatever, and small antenna system is to use, like you're saying, Pat, one of those digital programs. I think people are having luck making some digital contacts on moon bounce.
It's pretty much all they do now. It used to be a lot of CW back in the day, but now you can have a real modest setup and use the JT software and have it all scheduled and everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's more I don't know. It's not as impressive. I remember going to a friend's house in Miami, and he had, I don't even know, it must have been like 12 element 2-meter Yagis and about, I don't know, 10 kilowatts out of the garage. And I used to work CW off the moon all the time.
Yeah.
There's a guy here in my town here, Carterville, that did a lot of microwave stuff. He's got like a 30-foot dish in his backyard mounted on a tank turret. And in fact, it was on the cover of QST here probably 30 years ago. And he used to do a lot of that. And,
it used to be real popular.
Yeah.
I mean, when I lived in Florida in the 90s, we used to have a lot of 2-meter sideband activity just for regular stuff. And I was even running a 160-watt sideband station out of the car and able to work, pretty much Cuba, most of Florida on a regular basis, 250 miles just from the car.
Yeah. Well, moving here, I'm originally from Chicago. I moved here to Utah 20 years ago, and I really like 6 and 2 meters. Really, I'm a big 6-meter fan. But being in this, we're in a beautiful part of the country, but we're in a rock bowl. We've got the hind end of the Rocky Mountains to the east, and then 11,000-foot peaks of the Ochre Mountains to the west. So, line of sight, or it's just, again, there's not a lot of activity here. 6 meters is pretty good. With spring east season and stuff, we've actually had some nice 6-meter openings the past couple of weeks, surprisingly, into the Midwest and some double hopping to the East Coast. But it is fun to go up on top of the mountains and bring some small antennas up, and it's amazing once you get up at 10,000 feet what you can hear.
Oh, yeah.
Time to get the remote base set up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind getting back into it, but we're in the same situation here, just as surrounded by mountains and hills and everything else. It makes it a little more challenging. You have to look for those meteor scatter contacts and hope for some tropospheric ducting, which there's not a whole heck of a lot of moisture out here in the West.
Right.
Back in the 60s when I got my novice license, at that time, and I got my general. At that time, I had a novice and a tech at the same time. You could hold both classes at the same time, and you could work 6 meters AM with a tech call, and I could work my novice CW with my WN5 call, and I was WA5 on 6 meters, and that was so cool to be able to talk on 6 meter AM and back I mean, it worked good. I had a homebrew little 3-element beam I built out of some tubing and stuck it up about probably 20 feet in the air, and it worked pretty good.
What did you use for a radio, Tom? Did you have one of those old Harvey Wells band?
No. Back then I had. I tell you, back then I had a. It was a Helicrafters receiver. It was a SX. I think it was a SX140. That was a ham band only. It didn't have the band spread in it where it tuned, general coverage. It was ham bands only, and it had the 80 through 6 meter ham band on it. And the transmitter I got was a night kit. It was a T150. It was 150 watt, 80 through 6 meter transmitter, and it had a VFO in it. Of course, as a novice, I couldn't use a VFO. As a tech, on 6 I could. So it was a cool little rig.
Yeah.
It wasn't so little. It was.
I had an SX140.
Yeah, what I'm talking about. It had the, my first contact before I got to SX140. My first contact was on a 9-transistor AM shortwave radio, and the ham band was about a 1/4 inch long, and it didn't even have a BFO in it. And I had a long wire clipped to the pull-up antenna on it. And I called CQ, and man, I got an answer. But it was somebody in my town, a little town of 900 and something people. There was actually another ham bear, and he called me. I couldn't copy a thing he was saying. Somehow I figured out where he was. But I had a signal generator, tuned near the frequency of that AM receiver, making it like a BFO where I could hear the CW signal come in. So I finally figured out real fast that's not going to work for a ham receiver, and that's when I got that SX140. That was a pretty nice receiver. Each of the ham bands were about, what were they, Doc? About 6, 7, 8 inches long.
Yep.
Each band.
I used that in the Johnson Ranger for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and a nice thing, it had 6 meters on it, and it worked. It worked good.
I traded up. My first new rig was a Swan 240.
VK6RO's in here down in Australia. He's surrounded by 3 oceans and a desert. Oh, man. Let me tell you, he probably has trouble getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some of the new hams, it's interesting. We talked about that, Tom, on the radio program the other night. All this stuff today is pretty plug and play. Like you said, you can pick up a little Chinese handheld for $40, I remember years ago to get on 2 meter FM. You'd get the old Motorola, an old Motrack. You'd get it out of a police car or something. Had the the PL was those big copper reed things you plug in. And it's interesting. Everything works today. It's all plug and play. But you guys have been in it for years. It's way back when. You look at it, when you were younger, it was kind of frustrating, but that was the fun of it. To get stuff to work. Now everything just works, but back then it was an accomplishment to make things work.
Let me tell you, I think my first 2 meter rig was I may have the model wrong. It was a Motorola. I think it was called a 40V or an 80V. It was metal. It was a taxi cab radio. It was about 18 inches long and probably 6 inches tall, maybe a foot wide. Solid metal front on it, big round speaker. I had two channels on it, and it was crystal control, and it was tube. It weighed about 30 pounds, and I'd throw that thing in a car. My car antenna was actually a homebrew antenna that was in one of the handbooks. It was a tuna fish can soldered down on a piece of a copper plate, and with a PL259 in it, and a 19-inch whip stuck in it. My antenna was a tuna fish can. And when I'd get home every day from work, I'd pull that 30-pound radio out, take it in the house, hook it to a power supply, hook it to the antenna, and that was my 2 meters in the house.
That sounds a little fishy to me.
Yeah.
Dirty tuna.
I bet you. I would imagine you could search somewhere and find that instructions for building that tuna fish can antenna. And back then, I don't even think they had mag mounts back then. I don't remember, but this basically was the same thing as a mag mount. You had this 7-inch square piece of copper that tuna fish can was soldered to. You'd lay that flat piece of copper on top of your car, and you'd run you about 4 strips of duct tape around it to hold it on.
Yep.
And it would make the capacitance, connection there, just like these magnetic antennas would do.
My first transmitter was built on a pie plate, a cake pan, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, hey, that's a good chassis.
Single tube, 10 watts. I filled up, I think, about 3 pages of CQ in my log before I ever got a contact with the guy across town.
Well, those pie pans made a nice chassis, man. No holes in it. You just put your own holes in it and everything. Back then, I know what you mean. Back then, we had to log every time we got on. So if you make a CQ, you had to log it. On this frequency, this time, and nothing heard. And
I had a BC 455 receiver. That was my first receiver.
I want to say hi to Ray up in Nova Scotia. Hello, Ray. Let's also say hi to Delta. Delta's in the chat room. Delta's owner of Digital Addiction chat room. We'd like for you guys to get on the chat room more often. Get on there day, night, any day of the week. It's always up. Yeah, that was back in the olden days, man. I got my novice license, run 75 watt, crystal control, and I was telling somebody the other day, I don't think I ever really worked any DX. I think I talked to Bermuda. That was my only DX contact probably when I was a novice. I did work Alaska, I think. I guess I could count that as DX, but I mean, that was it,
Are you for real?
Yeah, for real. I mean, nowadays you buy a radio, one of these new solid state radios, plug that thing in, and look at a piece of wire, and it's easy. But back in the olden days, it wasn't so easy.
Okay.
I had a guy a couple of years ago that recognized my call, and he pulled out my old novice QSL card and sent me a photo of it, and it said, "Thanks for my first Florida." And
yeah.
I blew it up and framed it. I'd even forgotten what my QSL card looked like. But,
I had a guy that joined our Facebook group that was my first contact, or I was his first contact, WN5KZK, and he posted a picture on my Facebook of the card I sent him, my first contact to him, and I went through all my cards and I found his card and pasted it on there. So that's kind of cool, 52 years ago. Yep.
I got my license in 65.
But, everything today works, Back then, gee, man, we didn't even have an SWR meter, and people didn't really know what it was. You could try to build one, but none of this dual meter stuff, none of this cross needle stuff. You had to, forward it and calibrate it, and then look at the forward and reflect it and try to figure out what that meant. Usually it didn't mean nothing, but we tuned up into a 100-watt light bulb. That's how we tuned up, and we made contacts.
Yeah. It's still fun today.
Oh, yeah.
My coax I got, I bet you I'm still using some of that same coax I used 52 years ago, and probably when I got it, it was probably 40 years old. It was probably military surplus. In fact, I can remember, in the early 60s when I was 16 and operating it, when it would rain for like 4 or 5 days, I can remember water coming out the end of that coax in my ham shack.
That's some kind of dielectric, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
That's great.
I heard some guys say that even the current LMR 400, after it gets old, will do that.
Well, I don't know. That the LMR. Well, the coax I was using basically it probably didn't have foam back in. It was that solid, that hard solid dielectric. Of course, LMR 400, that stuff. Now some of that stuff is kind of hollow down the inside. For low loss. Yeah, we just cut. Hey, the book says you want an 80-meter antenna. You cut it, 128 feet long, and we cut it 128 foot and stuck it up here. But there wasn't an antenna analyzer.
Right. And them old tubes didn't really care what it looked like coming back. The radios of today, everything shuts down and backs off. Back then, well, they just kept pumping away.
Oh yeah. You didn't have to worry about a mismatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just didn't want to touch your lips to your microphone.
Yeah, I had a few times my lips got burned with my mic,
Gives you a kiss right back.
I was probably grounded. I probably ran a wire out my window and hooked it to the gas lines, probably where I had mine hooked to. And today, I think they tell you don't hook a ground wire to a gas line.
No, that's not a good idea.
But in fact, let me tell you something. I don't see why not hook to a gas line. Let me tell you, there was a guy building a house when I was a teenager. He was building a house like 4 houses down, and I knew the kid, and I was always doing something with electronics, and I had this radio. We had pretty good output on it. I took the speaker output and I connected it to a gas pipe, and I connected it to a water pipe. We went down there to his house they were building, and we put that speaker across a gas pipe and a water pipe, and he could hear the music coming out. What do you think about that?
That's great.
Well, I saw that posting they put on Facebook about that AM tower, that video.
Yeah.
Where it's flaming away, and you could hear the audio coming out of the flames there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's on your Facebook page. Or I saw it the other day.
You see it on my page. I found it somewhere and shared it over on my Facebook page, but I'm sure it was other places. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They take it, pull an arc off that tower, and that thing's running so much power. You could actually, the arc was actually making a speaker, and you could actually hear the announcements, the commercial, just through that arc.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that guy holding on to that, and I said, I don't think I do that.
Speaking of towers and video, I'm sure you've all seen that climber that goes up that 1,000-foot tower.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I don't even want to watch it.
I got sick just looking at that.
Oh, yeah, man. I don't even want to watch it, man. It's terrible.
Unbelievable. Uh-oh, there he goes.
There we go.
Yeah, I remember doing some flying with Civil Air Patrol in Florida and seeing some of those tall towers. I have a couple of 2,000-foot towers, and we'd be flying at 1,000-foot looking up at the thing. It's like, man, I can't believe people climb those.
I'd never make it up there.
Yeah.
I don't have kahunas like that, I'll tell you.
Nah, it takes a special kind of person.
Well, I'm going to get ready to call it. It's going almost midnight here, so I'm going to have to get a call it a night.
Yeah, I need to get the boys to do their chores before bed and fun stuff.
Yeah, my little one is going to have to go outside all night. So I'm going to disconnect from this, and I'm going to see if I can reconnect back in with my iPad here.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to get out too, guys. I'll see you guys later.
All right, Doc. We'll see you later.
Okay. See you guys.
Yep. I'm out here too, so we'll take care, and we'll see you probably next week, Tom.
Okie dokie. Yeah, we'll be here. Next week we're going to have Riley on. Riley Collinsworth. He'll be back with us, FCC Special Counsel, and be answering your questions. He's going to talk about using the internet for ham radio too. That'd be interesting. And I think we got Joe coming back to talk about more kits.
Cool. Well, look forward to it. We'll see you next week. Take care.
All right.
Yeah, Tom, it was a great show tonight. I'll be here next Tuesday, and thanks for doing the program on Saturday. Both the links are there in the chat room. They're all cleaned up on YouTube, so if you want to copy them, they're there.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And Mike, it looks like you made it.
Yeah, it looks like I'm in on my mini iPad, so okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get out of here, too. Go get me something to eat. I'm getting a little hungry.
7-3, Tom. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you. All right. Bye-bye. All right,
okay,
Mike. We'll talk to you later, man. I'm going to run.
Okay.
And who's left in here now? Who is that? That's you and... Well, I don't know who the other guy is. Is that Jerry?
Like
I guess
Jerry.
that's Jerry. Yeah, it's probably Jerry.
Yeah, he's gone. But I'm calling it a night. So.
Yeah, me too. All right. We'll see you later. All right. Goodbye.
Okay.
All right, guys, fix to get out of here. Say good night to everybody, and we'll talk to you later. Let's see. I've got something here. I'm gonna play.
Coming to you on a dusty road. Good loving, I got a truckload. And when you get it, you got some. Don't worry, 'cause I'm coming. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul. Got what I got the hard way. I'll make it easy. Oh man, each and every day. So worry, don't you fret, 'cause you ain't nothing yet. I'm so mad.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.